Hello again, friends! And that sounded like crap, but we're gonna keep pushing on through. Welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru, the white noise edition. There's all sorts of things buzzing in the background. I'm your host, the great Brian Last, and the man who usually creates all the buzz, the leader of the cult of Cornette, Mr. Jim Cornette.
That's right, you cats and kittens. It's Jim Cornette coming to you from Castle Cornette. I'm live, and that ain't no jive, loud and proud here, radio broadcasting on 50,000 watts to you people out there in radio land. You see the speed, Brian? The snappiness of my new internet. The one guy, good old Jason from Spectrum, that knows how their equipment operates. I'll have you know that my speed tests are off the charts. Infinity and beyond. I got a 941. And they're in the 600s and a 7. It's insane. I have perfect internet broadcasting to the people. The sound couldn't be better. Why, the power of this thing, you can pick me up now on the fillings in people's teeth.
Well, if you remember, you had an issue where sounds weren't being picked up and you did something to your computer and caused that.
No. That was an automatic update. I didn't do anything. Hotchkiss said it was not on my shoulders. The burden was not mine to bear. That was one of those automatic thermostats that they put it through the oscillator and it came up red.
Right. Well, since that time, Hotchkiss fiddled around with your microphone, and now you're picking up sounds.
It was the
you're
same
picking up sounds that aren't even there. You're picking up sounds that you could turn off the fan and close the door. You could shut off the refrigerator. Anything you're doing, it doesn't matter. There's new noise.
That sounded like a song. Turn off the fan and shut the door.
That's right, cats and kittens.
And we won't hear that noise no more. I'm just, what it is, Brian, it's your fault. It's your fault. Because what you're hearing is what you've been supposed to be hearing all along. The reality of the world. See, I've been throttled down. My internet's been throttled down, so you were only hearing part of me. Now you're hearing all of me. Why don't you hear all of me? And there's some background noise to be had. This is a very sensitive, high-dollar microphone I got going on over here. It's all the best equipment. So this is reality. When you walk down the street, don't you hear all kinds of background noise?
When you walk down the street, what do you mean? You don't hear white noise like this? No.
If you're out in the world, you're going to hear some noise.
It sounds different than a microphone that's hypersensitive, that's picking up all sorts of sounds that the normal ear wouldn't hear.
Would you like to pick up this sound? How about that sound? Was that clear enough for you?
That wasn't your machine. What was that?
That was me to you.
Homemade?
I've made one for you special right here at home. Hey!
Ooh, an abrupt ending on that one.
That can't be you. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to do a program here, and any noise that the people hear will be overcome and overbalanced and compensated for by the wisdom, the knowledge, the entertainment, the fun, the frivolity, the frolickery? Is that a word? The frolicking would be frolicery.
Parts of it are a word, that's for certain.
Well, did I dangle my participle?
I don't know what you did exactly.
I got a lot of notes here, but did you hear breaking news in the real world? Before we went on the air, I didn't even have time to mention this to you. Did you hear about the big labor dispute at the U.S. Mint? They've got a work stoppage going on. All the employees went on strike because the workers didn't want to make any more money.
All right, what do we got? Our Johnny Carson joke book out today?
It takes a second. You have to think about that.
What's going on here?
You have to think about that. What's the matter? Well, we had a good time yesterday. It was Stacy's birthday as we sit here yesterday. I don't know when the people are going to hear this or listen to it. You can do that at any point, I guess. It's a free country. But at her request, I made my world famous spaghetti chicken parmesan. Have you ever heard of this? Apparently, you're dumbfounded.
I was eating a piece of watermelon.
Oh,
Have I ever heard of
watermelon?
Watermelon. I like to have fruit near me when I record.
People in the North eat watermelon?
I think people all over the world eat watermelon.
It is a tasty fruit, but nevertheless.
And filled with water. That's right. Keeps you hydrated.
Yes, it keeps you hydrated. Except my family always salted the watermelon, which will shrivel you up, so I guess we were coming out even.
Is that a thing? I never heard of that. You salt watermelon?
What? You eat watermelon without the... Oh, my, that's horrible. No, after you finish grilling
they cut
burgers,
the watermelon, they chop it into little bits. You eat it. What are you talking about?
In the summertime, when the weather is right, after you've cooked out burgers or whatever on the grill,
Mungo Jimmy,
you take a watermelon, Mungo Jerry, very good, and you slice that thing in big old slices where it's like a half a pie, and you're holding it in both hands. And then you take the salt shaker and you salt both sides of it real good so it's evenly distributed. And you go to mowing on that. That's the way that we all did it when I was a kid. And they didn't have the seedless watermelons back in those days. So that was a pain in the ass trying to pick out or spit out or fucking... My grandpa John, my mother's father, was 85 years old, and I don't think he had teeth, but he could take a slice of watermelon and he could daggum just mow it like a typewriter back and forth and work the daggum seeds out one side of his mouth while he was chewing the watermelon with the other side. Of course, all this happened outdoors.
Of course.
You could just lean over, but you don't salt your watermelon up there.
No, I bought a thing of watermelon chunks from ShopRite, and they didn't say anything about salting their fruit. It's in the produce section. It doesn't say added salt anywhere for any of the fruit.
Well, no, you have... Oh, never mind. Anyway, the chicken spaghetti parmesan.
Hey. Oh, okay.
Well, what were you going to say hey about? Are you going to try to defend yourself more about this watermelon situation?
Indirectly, yes. Do you eat strawberries?
Yes.
How do you wash them?
Well, normally with the goddamn loofah and some Dial body wash.
The loofah?
Like everybody
Bill
else.
O'Reilly. What are you doing over there? No, what I mean is, Suzanne all of a sudden started leaving them in like a bucket of vinegar. Or not a bucket, but a bowl of vinegar. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, you're supposed to wash them like this. I'm like, I'm not eating that. You ruined my strawberries.
Well, yeah, that kind of is the opposite of a strawberry is a vinegar taste. But no, it depends on, because I eat a lot of strawberry stuff, but whether strawberries in ice cream or strawberries in cake or strawberry puree or strawberries at various times or chocolate-covered strawberries or whatever the case.
You've been following the Boar's Head controversy?
Well, one goddamn food situation at a time.
Well, produce is right next to the deli section.
But most of the time, I don't wash the strawberries at all, because if we're going to be eating something that is involving freshly prepared strawberries, the fruit is Stacy's department, so I really don't handle a lot of that. I'm more of the fry daddy. And as far as I've been, so far, I've ducked the Boar's Head curse, but I think somebody said the biggest part of it was liverwurst. And if you eat that, you deserve what you get.
I think it's the worst.
And it's liver.
You have a headline here, New York Times. Boar's Head plant tied to 9 deaths had mold, leaky pipes, and flies. Federal inspectors cited...
Wait a minute now. That's where they make just the liverwurst, or do they make some of my Black Forest ham or pastrami as well?
Well, federal inspectors cited continuing problems at a deli meat plant in Virginia that was linked to an outbreak of listeria, records indicate. And this is the Virginia Boar's Head deli meat plant. It's been linked to 9 deaths. The alarm rang after people like Gunter Morgenstein,
oh, for God's sake,
a hairstylist renowned in coastal Virginia, fell gravely ill.
Wait a minute. I thought he was going to be the whistleblower over at the plant, but Gunter Morgenstein was a noted hairstylist where?
In coastal Virginia.
Well, they style a lot of hair over there.
As Mr. Morgenstein, an active 88-year-old known as Garchon. I'm sorry to laugh.
Please, is he still alive at least? Is this going to come out well?
No, he grew frail at the hospital in early July. His family racked their brains thinking of everything he had eaten in recent weeks. And it turns out it was boar's head liverwurst bought at a store, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. I don't know how much prevention they're doing.
Yeah. I'm not sure they're into control either. More like fucking post-op investigation. But
Liverwurst from the Jarrett's Boar's Head plant was first recalled on July 25th, and then they expanded the recall on July 29th to include all the meat processed there. Trying to see if there's like a thing that lists the dates. Oh, here's a picture of Gershon.
Gosh. What are you? Is he still? You never did tell me for sure. Is he still alive? Is he around? What happened to him?
Oh, he died last month at the age of 88. He's dead. He's dead.
Well, but all right. But
he had a fondness for liverwurst, a boar's head deli meat linked to the outbreak.
And you were laughing when you saw the picture of him because was he wearing a liverwurst on his head?
Because the caption? I looked right away at the caption. It says Gunter Morgenstein, known as Garshon of Newport. Why did you have to put his nickname there?
Well, that's how everybody knew him. He apparently wasn't known by his. That is a long name for the marquee. Maybe just Garshon's place was easier than Gunter Haberdashery or whatever. We send our deepest condolences out to his fans, his friends, and his family, and everybody that's involved in the liverwurst community. Can I tell you about
this gets so sad. Oh.
What?
Mr. Morgenstein's family says he was fond of boar's head liverwurst as a comfort food eaten on a plain bagel. It reminded him of his childhood in Germany, which he fled as a child to escape Nazi rule.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh. A receipt from Harris Teeter, provided by his family's attorney, shows he made the liverwurst purchase on June 30th.
Wait, God damn it. He survived and escaped the Nazis, but goddamn Boar's Head tracked him down. It was the liverwurst.
The liverwurst. I've never even eaten liverwurst. I don't know what it tastes like.
I couldn't have. Well, it's two things that are disgusting in and of themselves: liver and worst. If it's the worst, do you ever give me the worst food you have?
Like, I'm not going past like corned beef. Like that's my limit right there. Anything past that, I'm not going.
And I'm not sure about what how they determined to call that a corning process to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. But he escaped the Nazis, but he couldn't get us past the liverwurst.
The boar's head.
All right, I'm going to tell you about the dinner I cooked now.
Oh, yeah, you asked me if I ever heard of that. Yes, I've heard of chicken parmesan. Yes, I've heard of having spaghetti with chicken parmesan. I don't know what part I wouldn't have heard of.
But here's this is what makes it special, because Stace picked which birthday dinner that she would like me to cook, and at first she said my world-famous spaghetti and meat sauce with garlic bread, and then she said, wait a minute, let's change that to chicken parmesan. And I said, okay.
Good thinking.
But then I said, but you still want my sauce the same way, don't you? Oh, yes. So we had the spaghetti and meat sauce and chicken parmesan, with the chicken parmesan covered with the meat sauce. So it was kind of like the not surf and turf, but the turf and fly type of thing, whereby and there's like 2.5 pounds of ground beef in the spaghetti sauce alone, the batch I whip up, and then the lightly fried seasoned chicken breast, and then the tremendous glop of spaghetti on the plate there. You just smear it all over. It's wonderful. Actually, I'm describing the one that I ate. Hers was a little bit more demure. But and a strawberry cupcake for raspberry. I gave the wrong berry. It wasn't Chuck. It was his Uncle Marvin.
Did you wash it in vinegar?
Oh, but no. Getting back to that, that's what started this whole guide. Well, no, that's what started this being derailed from me telling you that we had a wonderful goddamn dinner for Stacy's birthday, and she wants to thank everybody for all the Twitter wishes and the Facebooks and various things that are on the internet. But why are you sure this is not a fucking shit? Has she been watching Hitchcock movies?
No, she's been watching TikTok. She's been watching TikTok or something. I don't know what she's been watching.
No, she's been trying to disguise the taste of something else she's putting in them strawberries. It's going to affect you slowly but surely.
Like I said, you're supposed to wash them with water. She goes, I do that after I do this. This kills off whatever's on them. I'm like, what's on them? I'm alive. I've been eating strawberries forever. I
know. Goddamn, what about a potato that grows in the ground? I wash with the dirt off of it, but it's not like we're bleaching that son of a bitch.
You know how many magic mushrooms I ate when I was younger? Those are grown in cow shit. I mean, come on.
She at least put them in a strainer and run the fucking water over them a little bit, though?
Oh, I mean, there was a lot going on. I can't really talk about details.
Well, nevertheless, I don't know about the vinegar.
Listen to a lot of Screamadelica. But no, vinegar is supposed to kill off germs of some sort.
Yeah, and most of the people that are there currently inhabiting, too.
Do you only use tomato sauce that you make, or do you buy any specific store kind at any point? Not for this meal, but during the year.
I'm not going to reveal the entire secret today. I think I talked about it before on the show. If you didn't write it down, then everybody can search through the goddamn mini clips to find the answer. But I'm not going to reveal that today.
We're actually working on a food omnibus, so maybe the secret will be in there.
Ooh, magic bus. We ought to get one of the listeners to do a confusingly similar version of Magic Bus for our omnibus.
So can we talk about right now here at the start of the drive-thru something we've been doing at the end of the drive-thru?
It's your program, so I guess we can just jolly well talk about anything you want.
So it's a bit of a controversy. I got to get your thoughts on it because it's all about you, and you'll get all the blame, and I'll run over here. But we had 2 songs last week that were both impressive. The second one declared itself as being an AI song.
Yes.
A ton of people got in touch with us, Facebook, emailed, CornyDriveThru@gmail.com, Twitter, to say that the first song was AI too. They recognized the voice.
No.
From other AI songs. So this puts us...
Remember we said, holy shit, that was good.
I didn't realize he literally reincarnated Jimi Hendrix to play on it.
So the computer is now a better musician than the people. In some cases, at least here. We've got empirical evidence.
In seconds, yeah.
Oh, well, should there be, because there should be another category, one would think, where if a human being is concocting the idea of let's do a song about Joe's Crab Shack or whatever the fuck and does it with AI, is that going to be the same every time? Or if another human has a better idea, can he make it better? And then you would be able to grade that, but you would have to know which was AI and which was just you.
I have right now one of the AI song simulators pulled up. Give me an example of what you would like to hear. I'm going to play it on the other computer so I don't mess with the recording here. I don't know.
Now you're going to ask me to do some shit.
I just want to see how quick this works.
What you're doing?
No, give me a topic. Name a topic that you like.
Car batteries.
Car batteries. Give me a style of music that you like.
Bluegrass.
Okay. A bluegrass. I dropped something. Song. That's not how you spell song. Song about car batteries. Name something you like. Car batteries. This is the worst episode of Family Feud ever. Survey says no. All right, I'm going to press create.
You didn't say I had to make it easy for the son of a bitch.
And 2 songs are generating now. Let me make the volume on this computer a little louder. I don't know how this is going to be. Bluegrass acoustic. The first song is Battery Blues. Can I play it yet? It's generating right now. Here, let's go to Battery Blues. Let me know if you can hear this.
I woke up this morning and dead as my car. No spark, no fire, can't get very far. It's a rusty old beast, won't roar with me. Flat as a pancake, ain't no energy. Got my toolbox ready, gonna take a look. Manual in one hand and a greasy hook. Trucker down the road said it's all dead weight. Need a new heart to set it all straight. Battery blue. Got those batteries.
Now, the same song is here. It put up two different versions. Let's go to this.
Woke up this morning, dead as my car. No spark, no fire, can't get very far. It's a rusty old beast, won't roar with me. Flat as a pancake, ain't no energy. Got my toolbox.
All right, well, I'll stop it there. I think it gives you a little bit of an example. Hopefully you heard that
keep
okay.
going. I want to hear the Battery Blues.
We're gonna take a look. Manual in one hand and a greasy hook. Trucker down the road said it's all dead weight. Need a new heart to set it all straight. Battery blues. Got those battery blues. Stuck in the driveway, can't chase away the views. Drove down to the store with a jump from a friend. Pray to the heavens, my luck to mend. Said, hey there, buddy, I need a new start. Give me that.
Let me stop this. Now, that was made in seconds. What do you think of that?
Fuck that. I guarantee you that is better than fucking 85% of the human race could probably fucking come up with if they sat down and thought about it for the afternoon. How the fuck does that happen? But anyway, yeah, there has to be. But now again, if somebody right now in Cambodia typed in car battery bluegrass, would they get the exact same song, or would it do something else?
It would do something brand new just for them. That's the
goddamn
thing.
Well, fuck, why didn't you tell me to buy stock in this son of a bitch?
Hey, one last one. Were you able to hear any of that okay?
Yes.
Let's go to this.
It sounded better than your organ.
Hey, now wait a minute now. This is the real thing. Real person, real fingers. So let's not compare the two.
Yeah. Well, here, can you see this finger? I got two of them.
Hey, there's a lot of people that would pay a lot of money to learn how to do this.
There's a lot of people that pay a lot of money to give you those two fingers.
Hey, come on now. Let's go to this. This is a rap about Tony Khan.
Yo, Tony Khan running game like a chessboard. AEW kingpin stacking chips, no discord. Wrestlers flipping, making moves on a tightrope. Got the crowd buzzing, filling arenas with pure hope. Rich kid with a vision, climbing top ropes. No nepotism in sight, just dope shows and quotes. Booking matches like a wizard, casting spells. Putting on a spectacle, ringing all the bells. Tony Khan, mastermind, pulling strings in the ring. Got the talent on lock, making the haters sing. Bringing wrestling back to the golden era swing. Every Wednesday night, the fans cheer and cling.
Well,
okay, maybe that one on the other side of the spectrum, about 85% of the human race could have done a better job.
it's listed as the genre of humorous hip-hop high energy. Whatever that may be.
I'll agree with high. Yeah.
Well, there's the future. There's a little shot of the future. But that's the problem. What do we do now if the people submitting songs are basically...
can I since that bluegrass version of Battery Blues was brought on by me, can I now copyright that and sell it as a record?
I don't see why not. I don't know the rules, to be honest. You better check with Steven.
Oh, now see, boy,
Dolph
talk
Ramsor,
about a
my
fucking
record consultant.
back paddle. You hit the goddamn brakes. I got to call Dolph Ramsor because you were about to get me sued.
I would call Dolph and then call Steven and then call Dolph back.
Well, why can't I have Steven call Dolph?
Well, Dolph's a nice guy. You don't want him to get yelled at.
Well, no, he's not. He's not involved in this in a fucking yelling target. Fucking.
Hey, Steven causes people to run out of the room into the street, stripping off their clothes. Let's not.
Yes,
let's
but
not
in this
compare the two things. What he does in a deposition, this man.
In this case, Dolph would be one of ours. We're going to him to consult for advice, not that he has wronged us in any way. So Steven would take him under his voluminous wing and the cone of justice and protect him from all harm.
Well, then he can keep his clothes.
At least most of them. I've got an email. I know this is your show, but this centers around you or part of you potentially. Can I tell you some of this?
Yeah, which part? My foot?
Well, no. It's what's
My
in
knee?
between. No, not your left knee, not your right knee, not even your weenie. It's
Hey.
what's in between your ears, there, pal. Your voluminous wrestling knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Ensconced in that big giant bucket head of you. But
Well,
recently,
hey.
anyway, I got this email.
That's not nice.
And this is not only one of the most, it looks like a resume like you would submit to a fine firm to be hired, and it's typed in all the right ways, and it's from John Ayayu. Do you know he's from Flushing, Michigan? John Ayayu. Do you know him?
I'm not sure if I know him at all because I'm not exactly sure what the hell you're saying. How do you spell the last name?
Well, it's John, as in John,
Right.
A, period, as in A-U-E. John Ayayu. As,
Now that you say it, now that you spell it out, you were saying it right. It turns out.
yeah. But anyway, he type to James E. Cornette, CEO of Cornette's Collectibles, to the post office box. It dated 8 August 2024, and he's from Michigan, not one of those weirdos over there across the pond that backs the fucking dates up backwards the wrong way. And he thanked us for keeping the history of wrestling alive, enjoying the look back at Mid-South 1984. We're going to do another one of those very shortly. The discussions of wrestling territory history that come out of Guess the Program are fascinating. My favorite part of the programs, which we do it often on this fine drive-through. And John said that since it's his favorite segment, Guess the Program, he decided to pitch in. He says, I have a rather small collection, but the hours of enjoyment you and Brian have provided parting with this program is the least I could do. And he says, I do not think this program will stump Brian. But we shall find out, because now, ladies and gentlemen...
Because Jim was given the answers.
That's right, Brian, you're on the spot. We're going to play one round of Guess the Program. With the program, I'm going to ask you the questions, and you're going to answer them from John Ayayu.
Emerging wrestling historian John A. Ayayu.
Do you think that when John met his wife or his significant other or his beautiful blushing bride, do you think she was saying, John Ayayu, when I'm calling you?
Hopefully not in that key.
Well, that's the key thing. I was a keynote speaker one time, and I hit the note then. Anyway, don't delay or defray the obvious here.
Have you ever washed strawberries in vinegar?
Didn't we just say something about that?
But it derailed the last conversation so well. I was trying to do it again now.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to face the music here, pal. I'm going to give you, for the new listeners out there, usually it's Brian quizzing me, but I'm going to give you the program submitted by John A. And you're going to, Brian, try to tell me what the city was and what the year was. Have I succinctly got that across to the viewing public?
I think all the readers have heard you loud and clear.
Okay, and I'll give you one clue as to where this might be, because the person that owned this originally had like marked like the fans used to a lot. They'd check mark the winner or X the loser or circle or whatever, make little notes, right, of who won and who lost and what happened. And when it says all bouts under the supervision of the State Athletic Commission, it names the chairman, and the guy has written underneath it, blind man. I guess he was sitting there and introduced to the people, and he was just waving in the air because he was a blind man, and they decided to make note of this. But I've never seen that before. Obviously, Leroy McGurk was not the chairman of the State Athletic Commission. But anyway, are you ready for the opening match, Brian? You got your notepad out. You ready to go?
That's a great thing that no one's ever done on wrestling TV. The head of the referees is here, and he's blind.
Yes, and he's blind. Who's that blind man? Ah, it's the house detective at the Grand Hotel.
All right, let's go. Let's do this.
All right, the opening match, El Bracero from Mexico City versus the Wild Man from parts unknown. The second event, Billy Red Lions from Canada versus Jay York from Alaska. The third event, George the Animal Steel from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania versus Thunderbolt Patterson from Los Angeles, California.
Okay, this could still technically be where I thought it may be. George Steele's a little bit of a surprise there for where I was thinking at first, but keep going.
And we're following with a tag team match, playa, which pits Don Fargo from Chicago, Illinois, at least that's what they claimed at the time, and Rene Goulet, who was billed from Mexico.
That's a twist.
I've never heard that before. I think that's obviously a
noted luchador, Rene Goulet.
Noted luchador, Frenchman Rene Goulet. Versus the team of Pepper Gomez from Monterrey, Mexico, and the Mighty Igor from Poland.
See, there we go again. Okay.
Then the next match, and wait till you hear this one. Yeah, that's why I think somebody's fucking drunk or forgot to change some things. Killer Carl Cox from Omaha, Nebraska versus Pistol Pez Watley from Mexico.
What?
Yeah, by way of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Anyway, but yes, Killer Carl Cox versus Pez Watley. Then we have another tag team match. The team of Baron von Krupp from Mannheim, Germany, and his partner Ox Baker from Kansas City, taking on Big Tex McKenzie from You'll Never Guess, Texas, and his partner from the jungles of South America, Pampiro Popo.
Okay.
And finally, the main event for a championship that will be named later, Abdullah the Butcher, the madman from the Sudan, versus Reno, Nevada's own Dick the Bruiser.
Okay. This is tougher because I'm fucking with my, in my head, there's a lot going on in my head, is what I'm trying to say.
Apparently, it won't come out your mouth.
There are two places that seem like the obvious. One place seems obvious, but one place seems like it could be a possibility until the very end. It sounds like it could be an early 70s Texas show. Houston, Fort Worth. However, there's a ton of matches there for the time, which reeks of the Cobo. Or at least reeks of Detroit. Dick the Bruiser makes sense in Detroit. Was Dick the Bruiser making any trips to Texas in 70? Well, Pez Watley's on the show. Anytime after 73? Rene Goulet's from Mexico. I don't know too much about his his time in Guadalajara.
I think somebody at the printer got stuck on Mexico.
But there's a lot of names there that, worked in Texas. Pepper Gomez. There's also, again, a lot of Detroit names. Mighty Igor. Pampero Firpo being in the main event, but he worked Texas too around that period of time. It's not crazy. This man John AAU was from Michigan, I believe, correct?
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
So I'm going to go with Detroit, Michigan. I'm going to say, it's Pez Whatley that's fucking throwing me off, actually. I did not expect that. Who was it? Abdullah the Butcher against who?
Dick the Bruiser in the main event for the United States Heavyweight Championship.
No Sheik on the show, which is interesting. And you gave away the title there, so it sounds like I got Detroit, Michigan right.
Yeah, I'm not going to jack you around.
I think it's a little later than I would think. 1975. God
damn you, Sunday, February 23rd, 1975. If I had not said that John A.U. was from Flushing, Michigan, that would have flushed your chances. No,
I would have gone with Texas, but Dick the Bruiser was what pulled me back to it has to be Detroit.
The thing is, with Texas, almost a good portion of this card at one time or another was a name in the Dallas-Fort Worth territory for Fritz especially, but they were not ever all there together.
And you started with El Bracero. That was like the thing that right away put me in the mind of Texas.
Well, but hold on here one second, and I'm going to fill you in on something you might not know. The thing that was the throw-off right, the curveball right at the end was Dick the Bruiser. And I bet you the reason why Bruiser was main eventing the Kobo in 1975 was because the Sheik couldn't be on the card. And that's when they had settled the issues, so they were working together. And that's the El Bracero was Jose Martinez, and he was working for Bruiser, and he lived in Indianapolis at the time.
Huh.
The Sheik always used guys like Billy Red Lyons, George Steele when he was available, Thunderbolt Patterson at that point. Rene Goulet and Don Fargo, think about this, 1975, they were the Legionnaires working for Bruiser. So
right.
They came from Indianapolis also, but the way they're not called the Legionnaires here because they weren't working the territory, people knew the individual names. Gomez was working for Bruiser, but he was about to go to Tennessee and work for Goulas for several months that summer. So a lot of Pez Whatley had just broken in for Nick Goulas, and they were sending him around to just do a job for Killer Carl Cox, but just to get him some experience. And Ox and Carl Von Krupp were working for Bruiser that summer also in Indianapolis as the heel tag team. Tex and Firpo and Abdullah were already working for Sheik in Detroit to begin with. So when they had settled the promotional war, Sheik was making more use of Bruiser's talent than Bruiser was making of Sheik's, probably because Sheik felt more like the aggrieved party since Bruiser actually ran Detroit. So, fuck it, send me some fucking talent. So there's, all kinds of fucking major names on this show for the time.
And when did Bobby Heenan leave Bruiser?
74.
So right before this, too. That's interesting. Huh.
It was right. The reason why he left was the payoff when Bruiser and Sheik settled things, and Heenan managed the Sheik at Market Square Arena in front of a sellout, and Bruiser gave him $700 or whatever it was, and that's when he said, well, fuck. And he called Vern because he was so insulted by that.
All right.
Anyway, that's Guess the Program that Brian last won. Yeah.
Very easily, Dick the Bruiser, but also, now that I think about it, Don Fargo. Although, again, he wasn't working there. He was working for Bruiser at the time, not for the Sheik, but still, I picture him in Michigan more than I do Texas at that point.
But he had been he'd been in Dallas on and off for years as one of the Dalton gang.
What was that tag team match with Tex McKenzie?
Oh, God damn it. Hold on. I just put it down here. I'm picking it back up here. It was Ox and Von Krupp against Pampiro, Firpo, and Tex McKenzie. Now, you got to,
Poor Firpo.
No, I'll tell you what. No, Carl Krupp, I saw him in 81. He could still fucking bump when it called for it. He wasn't bad. In 75, I watched them on TV when they were working for Bruiser. It was fucking cool. I loved the Killer.
Let's focus on the parts of the match that were Tex McKenzie versus Ox Baker.
Okay, let's not do that.
Imagine what that must have been like.
God almighty.
Was Ox Baker ever good once he became a heel? Because at least with the goofy baby face, there was some charm to like not being able to work.
But no, the thing is, his look and his voice and his promo and his size were all in the, if you do a 1 to 10 range on talent or whatever, they were all 10. So his in-ring work was a 1.5, and he still came out with a goddamn 41.5 or whatever.
Yeah, think about it. They brought him to Allentown and Hamburg in like 1980 to do around the tapings, and he was so bad they never used him. And they used everyone. And they didn't use him against Bob Backlund because it was that scary what the match could be. Because him and Backlund. But also at that point, it was like when Joe LeDuc, people tweeted clips of Joe LeDuc when he was the headbanger in WWF, and what was that, 1984? No, 88.
Or 8, oh shit, even worse, 88. Okay. 10 years before that, Joe LeDuc would have been able to convince people in about 6 weeks that he could fucking eat alive every member of the WWF. But not then. And with Ox, after 76 or 7-ish, it got to the point where it was not a pretty sight, that unless it was a territory where he was already over and people had seen him before and knew the name, then it wasn't going to happen. Because age caught up with what they could do to begin with. I shouldn't even say that. With LeDuc, he was incredible. But he was also, in 1988, he was almost 50, and I think I found out severely diabetic, I believe, or something like that.
Also, he needed the right opponent. You can see how he really wouldn't fit in well with the late 80s WWF style.
Yeah, no, because it was just, he had an incredible aura about him. But, I mean, like, again, in 1975, 78, he could do a drop kick at 280 pounds, 6 feet tall with that frame, and as good as anybody, right? But I saw these clips in 88, and it was just, he had slowed down so much, his shit wasn't crisp, and he was just trying to maul people because that's, what he was noted for, but he was neither as big physically, size-wise, as some of the giants they had then, and he wasn't as impressive body-wise because he was just so thick, and he looked like a fucking lumberjack. Could he probably in his day have outlifted much of the roster just because he was just freaky strong? Probably, but it wasn't his day anymore. So it didn't happen.
It threw me off as a kid seeing his name in the magazines. I'm like, who's Joss LeDuc?
Yes. Because he first became known to the magazines and sort of a North American audience, obviously in Montreal and all over Quebec and Canada, and that's JOS is the French spelling, right? And then when he moved down here, he worked years. He lived in Knoxville for quite some time. He worked Memphis and the Southeastern Territory in Knoxville and Georgia and Florida for a long time, and I think had a run in Texas. And he would go back to those places because he always got over. 20 years afterwards in Memphis, if you still ask people who are Lawler's greatest, rivals or whatever, it'd be Jimmy Valiant, Joe LeDuc, Austin Idol, some of the first, names that get mentioned. And obviously Dundee, but heel rivals. So, but where were we going with that?
That was Guess the Program.
Oh, it certainly was.
That was a lot of fun. This is a good show today. I'm glad this is your show.
Guess whose program this is?
God damn it. It's mine. It's me. me.
It was you all along, last.
As Auntie Cristo would say. We got a lot to talk about here. We have Dynamite. We're not going to talk about everything on Raw. Thankfully, both of us had DVR issues. It was the right week for that to happen.
Yes.
But, Jim, if I had asked you in advance, where can I go to wager on if Jim and Brian will watch all of Raw this week? Actually, I don't know if they would be able to take that wager, but they could take all sorts of other ones, and they could help you with your fantasy sports, all sorts of fun. Here's a man to tell you more about it, Jim Cornette.
You may have to almost tell me more about it, because I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I'll tell you one thing. If you are one of those fantasy sports gamblers, but they're not actually fantasy sports, because the NFL is not a fantasy, it's reality. Life is just a fantasy. Can't you live this fantasy life? And an official sports betting partner of the NFL is indeed our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. And apparently, it is very simple now to do this thing. If you're one of these young folks running around under the age of 15 with a cell phone and know how to work all this modern technology, you just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And then you'll be able to bet on all these college football games that are being played these days, because, again, as we've mentioned, many of the colleges said they had fun last year. They want to do it again this year. Brian, are there any of the colleges near you participating?
Participating in what? College athletics?
In the college football games that are going on.
Rutgers is right over here, of course. That's a pretty well-known school. UConn's right up the road. That's another well-known school.
UConn? You live in Alaska?
No, University of Connecticut.
Oh, the Unicon.
All right, well, the point is there are schools that, I don't even know where you're at, participate in the program of athletics.
Yes. Many of the colleges near you, ladies and gentlemen, are currently playing the football games. And also, if you're of a mind to do it, you can go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and you can place wagers on these things. And you're going to win big. You're going to score big, because it's the best place to bet on touchdowns. And if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JCE, that's JCE, for new customers, when you bet $5, listen to this now. They're giving shit. They're emptying their wallets in front of you people. You bet $5, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets. So that's 25 times what you're putting in it. And you're going to get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on them. Brian, what is NFL Plus Premium?
Imagine NFL
Oh, God damn.
Imagine NFL Plus, but a premium version.
Okay, well, Brian, let me ask you this. What's NFL Plus?
I have no idea.
Oh, well,
Imagine all the NFL you could ever dream of, plus more.
Well, that's got to be what it is. And it's premium. And it's free, because DraftKings is going to pay for it. When you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and new customers bet $5, you get $250 in bonus bets and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium, which apparently, as we have noted, is all about the NFL and more, and it's premium. And that's only on DraftKings, because the crown is yours. But the thing about it is, if you bet $5, you get the $250. Like I said last week, split it, $125 on each side. And then, unless there's a goddamn double knockout, you're pretty much, you're going to win something, aren't you? But then you gotta cover the betting spread with the shakers and the movers of the odds keepers and everything. And so you might lose money if you gain money, except if you win money with the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right?
It's something like that. It's very similar to what I perceive this would be, yes.
Yes. Well, folks, all you need for validation is Brian Last's perception, and he perceives it so.
Well, the NFL, look, the big thing is the NFL is starting right now. It's week 1. We're getting ready for another exciting football season. lots of people have lots of money they want to
Oh,
make.
I thought we were still playing the college football.
No.
This is NFL Week 1?
Yeah, are you reading the wrong copy? God damn.
No, I thought it was football to me.
No, it's the
We've
NFL.
been talking about football. It's the NFL now.
Oh, this is the official sports betting partner of the NFL. And if you have any sports bets you want to make on the NFL, during the NFL, while with the NFL, you should go to DraftKings.
Well, now you've changed your story. You know the thing, they're always playing football around here in this country. No wonder there's such an epidemic of CTE and all kinds of brain concussions. But nevertheless, if you want to see people run into each other head first, whether they're in college or already getting paid to do this, well, the NFL has started where the college people have left off. So you can bet on it all. Do they have children's football you can bet on? Put those little 8-year-olds out there.
No, in a number of ways that is wrong, and that is something that they do not support. They only support adult lady. They only support adult athletics that are of the legal sort.
Well, what if you're really a smart fucking prodigy and you get into college at 17, but you can also play football like a son of a gun, and you're on the team? You're a minor, but you're playing college football. Would you be able to bet on that team?
Well, I guess anyone who plays on the football team, you'd be able to bet on. I don't know what the age restrictions are because,
Well, would they be able to bet? They wouldn't be able to bet on themselves.
That's right.
And you know, if the children of America can't bet on themselves, and what have we come to as a country?
We are in a good place. I can't just speak for some reason. We're in a good place as a country. And in that place, some people want to watch the games, enjoy the games, get out of spots, make bets, and they can do it with DraftKings.
Well, they certainly can.
Everything
Yes.
except get out of the spot, apparently. That's the one thing that the people can't do. But, Jim, if anyone wants to go to DraftKings and, of course, place some of these wonderful NFL Week 1 sports bets, what can they do?
Well, they can go to hell as far as...
No, you can go to DraftKings. Of course, you can go to the official, you can go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JCE. That's right, the code JCE. New customers will get $250 in bonus bets. What a deal. Once again, score big with the DraftKings Sportsbook. The best place to bet, touchdowns. Why does it say that like that?
Or they can just go to hell.
No. Why does it say the best place to bet touchdowns? That's such a weird sentence. But the crown is yours. And Jim, I know you have a disclaimer because of the love and care that you have for the audience.
Oh, Christ, I'm already ready to pass out. Are you kidding me? Looky here, folks. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Or text those son of a bitches at the same number.
They're nice people.
In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. You can call 888, that's 888s, like on a slot machine, only one more.
Stop. No, that's not the kind of help they need. Let's go back to the official disclaimer.
Call 888-789-7777. That's a super slot machine. Or visit ccpg.org, which sounds like the Russian Federation that Nikolai Volkov used to have on his tights. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. If you're playing on their behalf, please be responsible about it. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. They're void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. So if you're there, you're square. Bonus bets will expire 168 hours after issuance. What is that in minutes? For additional terms, you'll regret it long before then. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co. Sounds like a designer. They make women's clothing also. dkng.co/ftball. Fuck the ball. NFL Plus.
No. Once again, dkng.co/ftball.
Oh, I thought that's what it stood for when the young people do the texting. NFL Plus premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Well,
That's everyone.
Wouldn't that be everybody? You've either had it or you've never had it. Additional NFL Plus premium terms are at NFL.com/terms.
I was watching Live Aid once with someone, and David Bowie, but before the last song of his set, Heroes, gives a speech. And he says, I want to send this song out to my son, to all of our sons, and to the children of the world. And my friend said, that's everybody. All right, well, DraftKings, the crown is yours.
So anyway, what do you want me to say here, Brian? This is your program. You're trying to steer this ship. I'm just merely, you're the rudder here. You're the captain. You have control of the velocity, the trajectory, and the direction. And I'm your willing servant and merely a vessel for you to carry wherever you want.
All right, Vessel. Well, why don't we, before we get to
George
Raw,
Vessel.
Before we get to WWE Raw this past week, of course, they had an announcement on the show, but it had broken a few days earlier, and we were recording, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So why don't we talk about the passing of Sid Udy, a.k.a. Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Psycho Sid with a very unique spelling, all to himself. What do you think? Obviously, someone you were around since almost the beginning of his career, and with the news of his passing, one of the clips people love sending around is when he was revealed to be the partner of Ahmed Johnson and Shawn Michaels in Split Screen, and you had a little bit of a meltdown.
Yes, and actually that was if you can imagine the state of the WWF at that point in time when Sid was the more stable alternative to the Ultimate Warrior who had just gotten fired and was supposed to be in that spot, right? And the thing, ever since this happened, because we've told so many stories about Sid on the show at various points over the years. And the problem is, in this instance, possibly some of those might not be in good taste, because the biggest stories about Sid were him no-showing or holding somebody up or getting in heat with the office. But then when you saw Twitter with the outpouring of the clips and the people talking about him, the fans, it was two different worlds. If you had to work with him in a promotional or office, administrative, creative, booking, production, type of scenario, it was fucking bloody murder. But the fans loved him, and he got over pretty much instantly whenever he, started appearing somewhere, because of the look and the intensity and the athleticism. So the fans loved him, but at the same time, all of the industry stories center around, the softball Sid thing. And it said, so how do we carry on with this today and discuss him?
Well, I think we can look at it from both perspectives. You from the person who had to deal with him as a wrestling executive and as a coworker, and me as someone who, when I discovered the NWA, one of the first guys I was a mark for was Sid Vicious. He had the coolest entrance music. If he wrestled, sometimes Spivey wouldn't get in the ring. No, yeah. He had an aura. I mean, I know it's such a corny word to use, but he had an aura around him that not too many other people did. He also did things that heels didn't typically do in terms of almost asking the crowd to cheer. He would make those little hand movements, and the crowd would go nuts for him, because here's a guy 6'9" doing all these big power moves, killing everyone, and then turning to the crowd to celebrate.
Yeah, and he's built like a Greek god, with that physique, and at the same time he can do a nip up. And
because I'll give you an example. I'm 9 years old, right? And
well, right now or at one time?
Maybe mentally. But in 1989, and at the Bash, it's the Skyscrapers against the Dynamic Dudes.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up, but go ahead.
And they're almost cool to a 9-year-old, They got surfboards and they're wearing neon. Like that's what's supposed to hit with a kid. You would almost want to root for them. How are you going to root for them against Sid Vicious?
Yes.
And the Baltimore fans, I mean, that was kind of the reaction a lot of wrestling fans had to Sid, despite limitations in the ring and problems dealing with him. That was the kind of reaction he always got.
And the thing is, they would boo Spivey. When Spivey was in a ring, boo, they wanted to see Sid.
Yeah.
When Spivey got in a ring, Sid, and then he'd tag and they'd fucking blow. And the dudes were goddamn burnt toast. But that was the thing. Remember, they had to edit the WWF. You know your New York history better than I do. What was the pay-per-view? Well, it was the Royal Rumble, but what year where...
92.
Sid eliminated Hulk, and then Hulk held on to Sid and pulled him out, and they booed Hulk.
It's the year Ric Flair won. Maybe the greatest Rumble ever. The last three are Flair, Sid, and Hogan. And if you're a fan of WCW or the NWA, you know there's a little bit of a history with the two former horsemen, but they don't really talk about that there. But it's intriguing. Sid eliminates Hogan, the fans cheer. That was the big moment where finally it showed that people were kind of sick of Hogan's act. Because it had gotten really, corporatized. It was just, when at the very beginning and, he was kind of like a big, wild steroid man. And then all of a sudden he was a bullshit artist to a lot of kids. And Sid eliminates Hogan, the fans cheer. And then Hogan, from the outside of the ring, just grabs onto Sid and starts pulling at him, which is a total heel move if you really think
sore
about
loser.
it. Yeah. And then Flair, the true heel, gets behind Sid and dumps Sid out of the ring while Hogan's doing that. And Sid's mad at Hogan. By the time that aired on TV, they edited it so that the fans were cheering Hogan for some unknown reason. In that ordeal, there was no reason to cheer him.
But that's again, he could make an impact like that. And he's another guy that, he hit at the right time, with the explosion in television and et cetera of that period. And, everybody had video. His career really, 13 years, 14 years between his first matches in Memphis and the leg injury. And he wrestled a few times after that, way after that. But everybody thinks he's always been, Psycho Sid or Sid Vicious. And there were so many breaks in between when he would just go home. But yet they would kept giving him chances and he would go in and get over. But then he would do something to get himself under with the company and he'd be gone again. And so that's why it was the difference between trying to work with him in the ring where, they're cheering the wrong people and or he, doesn't want to sell whatever, or he doesn't want to, do this or that except when he did, or working with him as the promoter or the booker where you're trying to make plans and what the fuck, when are they playing softball? But the fans, every time that he would go out there and do his shit, they fucking loved it.
Can you imagine how good he must have been at softball? He's like Aaron Judge. He's gigantic. He would just be bopping him all over the place.
I don't know I never saw him play softball, but I heard about it all the time.
Did Lawler?
I'm sure that Lawler's seen him play. I don't know if he's played him or had him on his team or whatever, but I'm sure there had to be conversation between the King and Sid on softball. But that was the thing in WCW, I guess in early 91, they signed him to a new deal, had to have him. And what Sid had asked for was, I think, $400,000 a year guaranteed, which, what's that from 1991 now? Maybe $1 million in today's money. But $400,000 a year, he wanted the world title and he wanted softball season off. And they gave him the money and the world title. They just didn't give him softball season off. And they
didn't give him the world title.
I thought they did.
He didn't get it until years later.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because he didn't make it on that deal long enough, I don't think, to softball season. Or was that when he quit for softball season?
That's when He ends up going to sign with the WWF in 1991, and the last match he has for WCW is a stretcher match against El Gigante.
Oh, where he didn't go out on the stretcher.
Yeah, he just walked out. He didn't go out on the stretcher. That was his goodbye to WCW, that match.
And
you know, that's one of those early examples. And again, I'm not saying he was Tiger Mask or anything, but fans like me were into Sid because he had that aura and that personality that not too many other guys had. He's one of the first examples of someone, although people look back on the Sid Justice run now and they like it, I think it's one of the early examples of Vince not getting how to use someone right out of the gate who came over from WCW, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you there. And Sid, how long did Sid Justice last? The name, the whole...
Well, he was there at SummerSlam, but I think maybe the month before. So let's say June, July 91. And then he left. He quit right when he was about to work the big program with him and the Ultimate Warrior, which would have been amazing. Coming out of WrestleMania 8, let's say May of 92.
Oh, it just seems shorter. But yeah, I mean, see, here we are. We're talking, yeah, he did this and then he quit, or he did this and he got hurt, and then he did this and he quit, and he left and went to the other place, but he didn't like... It was, and I've told the story before. I apologize if everybody's memorized the entire catalog of the YouTube channel, but that time in San Antonio when they brought him back in 97, when they well, no, it was at 96 when they fired the Warrior. Whatever the case, it was the goddamn San Antonio, the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum, because I remember I was so hot that I was ill and almost threw up by the time I got back to the hotel room. It was like 110 in San Antonio that day. And Vince had insisted he come. He'd been off because he was injured. And Vince had me call him. And I called and got his wife because he was out. He was playing softball, or he took the softball team to Osceola or somewhere in Arkansas. And I said, Vince wants him. You know, at Raw Monday night, he doesn't have to wrestle. He knows he's hurt, but he's got to make an interview appearance and do part of this deal, right? Oh, he's not going to like that. He hasn't had time to train lately. He doesn't feel... Well, I said, he's not wrestling. How bad could he look in a fucking month? I'm thinking to myself. We haven't seen him in a fucking month. What could he have deteriorated to? And she said, you know, Sid's often said that he thought he might be happier if he went back to selling farm chemicals. I don't know whether she's trying to just pour her heart out to me or negotiate with me on his behalf, like, you better give him more money. He might go back to selling farm chemicals. And I said, nevertheless, Vince wants him there. He's sending a plane ticket. Monday, San Antonio. He's going to do this interview thing, right? So he shows up. And I can't even remember the particulars, but the four top baby faces, whoever they were at this point in time, it was Michaels, is whoever the fuck, they all come out on the stage and confront the group of heels in the ring, and Sid is one of them, and he didn't take his shirt off. He's dressed in street clothes. He didn't take his shirt off because he felt like he hadn't tanned. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then they were supposed to come back at the top of the hour, seg 7, and that was when Raw was a 2-hour show, and do some kind of run in and whatever and pay the thing off. And we started looking around for, where's Sid? And we asked Bruno, you know, Harvey Whippleman, downtown Bruno, because they went back to the Memphis days.
And that was his manager, Sid Justice.
Yes. And we said, where's Sid? Oh, he came up to me. He said he felt like he was having a heart attack. I said, well, where'd you take him? I took him back to the hotel. What? The Holiday Inn for a heart attack? He said he just wanted to go back to the hotel. It's so hot. You know, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, geez. So he didn't make that segment. And that's when, oh, God damn it, was it him that Vince said, if I'm going to prorate your appearances, or was it Warrior? Maybe it might have been both of them. Both these things may be true. But I don't know. He wasn't around long again after that.
You know, that's sad to hear that. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together about him selling farm chemicals, Because I guess one of the things that they're attributing is passing to is the exposure to Roundup.
Oh, good Lord. Are you kidding?
No, I read that. So I thought it was just from, I missed it.
Okay, I had not read that. So I wasn't trying to be flippant, as they say.
Yeah. Wow.
Who would have thought he got out of wrestling and it killed him?
He's an underrated promo. You may not like his style, but he was, and I don't know if he always made sense, but there was an intent. Again, no one had this intensity. He had certain intangibles that no one else had, and he made it work for him.
He was a perfect promo, except if he had to go too long or explain. One of the guys, there's a lot of guys like this. If they have to go too long or explain too much detail, it robs them of their intensity because they get lost or they just get hesitant, as I just was. And that's why if you have the little manager to fill in the details and do the fucking bridges amongst this monster having short, violent verbal outbursts like he could do tremendous, that's your key there. But one time again on one of the promos, it didn't even matter, like you said, whether it made sense because it sounded so real that he was saying it. He did a promo, and I can't remember what it was, but some way or another, he told the people in some twisted syntax that he was half as smart and half as big as his opponent or whatever.
In WCW, yeah. It caused Scott Hall to start laughing at him in the middle of the ring.
Yes. But again, it's fucking Sid, and everybody thought he was goofy and out of his mind. And because he was goofy and out of his mind.
He went from screaming to whispering better than anyone. He was able to, and I'll tell you. And then he would all of a sudden become Jake Roberts and lean in, and you would see his eyes, and, it worked. What was up with Vince's spelling of psycho?
I think it was something he wanted to try to trademark or just to, have some alliteration there. With the SS, Psycho Sid, not SS in terms of connotation of Germany, but just alliteration on his logo.
Let me tell you about my favorite Gestapo.
Well, now that may have come later, but it was just the alliteration, and so they could trademark the action figures and et cetera, But that partially came from. Because when I heard from Vince and Bruce, we're bringing Sid, I said, he's a psycho because the thing that had happened with Arn. And Vince comes up, and it, changed the spelling or whatever.
Oh, he almost died, you say? How can I use this?
Yes, how can I? Yes, so I'm surprised they didn't license that music from fucking Bernard Herrmann.
Now that I'm thinking about his music, did his music have like a fake psycho sound at the beginning?
Yes.
I never even thought about that before. Wow.
Yes, that's the goddamn deal, but they should have just gone all the way with it, like I played the theme from Halloween for the Mongolian Stomper. Play the fucking shower music.
I liked Sid better in the mid-90s when he returned to the look without the mullet that he had when he first hit in 1989. I didn't like him with long hair as much.
Well, it made him look taller when he had shorter hair.
That's right. I liked him with Shawn Michaels. Everyone talks about Shawn Michaels and Diesel. I thought he was really good as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard.
Well, and again, that formula works when both guys do their thing, but that's why Vince McMahon was so sold on Sid multiple times, because he looked so good, and Vince knew if he could just, like Donald Pleasance in Halloween, if he could just reach him, but he found out that those eyes were soulless. He couldn't keep him under control from blowing up, from having issues, whatever, to fully monetize him. And that's the thing. They threw from 1989 through 1998 or 9 with WCW.
Yeah, maybe a little bit after that, yeah.
A little bit, or 2000. They threw money at him. He'd quit, leave, go home, get mutual split, whatever the fuck, all the incidents. get fired for the thing with Arn. And he'd sit at home for a while, and then when the heat was off the other side, because of there was something there, they would get him. And then some would happen again. So he could have been much bigger and for a longer period of time because there were so many breaks in that period of time.
Well, that's a sad transition right there. What I was going to say is, when he passed, a couple of the matches that came to my mind were the dudes match, and I posted the link to the Lee Scott match, which is just amazing to see because the crowd starts coming alive with each destruction of Lee Scott. And the match with Shawn at the Garden for Survivor Series in '96, where the fans turned on Shawn.
Yeah.
Sid became the biggest babyface in the world that night. Unfortunately, one of the memories a lot of people have, and I try not to think about it, to be honest with you, it makes me sick, the image of it. Sid Vicious breaking his leg in WCW. What was your reaction when it happened? What did you think when you heard or saw it?
Well, I wasn't watching live, but heard about it and then saw the tape, and that is just, and he had said later on and ended up suing WCW because they said do this. But at the same time, why would you tell this guy to do that? Because the one thing about Sid, the entire massive body, he had kind of some bird legs down below there. But that was nothing that he had ever done. It wasn't important, as I remember, just coming off the second rope with a kick to a guy. How can that be an integral part of a finish? So I don't know if he ever won any money, because could he prove that they insisted he do that and he said, no, I can't do that kind of stuff? Did he get a big settlement? Was this reported?
I actually don't know. I do know that most people who sued WCW ended up happy in the end, but I don't know.
Well, WCW wasn't giving out happy endings when I worked for them. I might have stuck around.
They were giving out settlements. You sue them. They didn't want to. I mean, how many people sued just because they knew they would get a settlement out of WCW?
No, I know, but they certainly weren't giving out any happy endings.
No. Well, you don't know what Jim Herd and Jim Ross were doing late at night at the bar.
Hey, now, come on!
You weren't there.
Or the bourbon for Herd and.
Well,
but anyway, but nevertheless, but yeah, that injury, leg injury to Sid, pretty much ended his full-time career, and he came back long after that to do just a few matches. But yeah, I didn't ever understand that deal from either side, why that they would insist. And here's the thing, we couldn't get Sid to agree to come to work. We were paying him $500,000 a year. Why would he agree to jump off the fucking ropes on one leg for somebody? What the fuck was going on there?
Well, that was our look at the life of Sid. I can't even say it because of the way you ended that. But
well, no, but I mean, not even being disrespectful, but he picks then to agree to do something?
I don't know. But again, a memorable character from the 1990s, one of the more memorable wrestlers of the decade in a lot of ways, because he was in both companies on various occasions and had big runs at the top and often just disappeared or was fired or was sent home for, it was a variety of things.
Well, and he would go back to Memphis and work for Lawler because he lived in West Memphis, Arkansas. So, and that's where he started. Lord Humongous was, at first it was Mike Stark a long time ago in Memphis, and then Jeff Van Camp.
Yeah.
He broke in here. He played football for the University of Louisville. And then, when they wanted to bring the gimmick back, they put it on Sid, and he was the most impressive looking of the bunch. And then when the people found out it was him, point is, whenever he would be gone from WCW or WWF, but he'd show up in Memphis, and those people would see this international star for the next 3 weeks. And then he'd go somewhere else.
Do you think it was worth maybe looking into having a tour, not the Lex Express, but like Sid going town by town, whatever town he's going to wrestle in, he takes on your softball team during the day? If you know you have this guy that can hit bombs, put him in there against every schlub in town to promote the wrestling event.
Yeah, but it might have ended up like George Goulas when he had the wrestlers form the basketball team so he could be the captain, and they would go and and play the local high school team in the school that they were having the matches in that night. They'd have a ball game, and they'd set up the ring during intermission, and then they'd have the wrestling. Well, one night in Rabbit Ridge, Kentucky, the fucking high school team beat the wrestlers, and George got so mad, he canceled the matches.
What, are you serious? I never heard that before.
Bob Eaton told me that one.
Get the fuck out of here. That's amazing.
Yeah, he said they cheated. It was some referee call or whatever that he felt they had been wrong. That take the ring back. We're not doing it. Daddy, they cheated.
That's nuts. I never heard that story before.
But there you go. But Sid.
That was it. The life of Sid. And of course, they mentioned him this week. They mentioned Sid Udy, Sid Vicious, Sid Just, I don't know what to call him. Psycho Sid was mentioned on WWE Raw this past week. And why don't we talk about what you saw of Raw?
Well, as you mentioned, we did have some DVR problems, but actually it was probably a blessing in disguise because this was one of those snoozers this week. Can you concur with me on that? There was highlights and a sea of tranquility.
It's the end of summer. It's back to school. This is when you hit them with a few dull weeks.
It's like being hit over the head with a dull hammer.
There was stuff I liked, though.
Still hurts. No, there was good stuff in the middle of this. It just took a while to shuffle through it. The new Judgment Day. I know you like them. Dominic and Liv are a heat machine. Oh, I'll agree with you there.
They would fit in world class. That's the ultimate compliment. They're good. Oh, she's so good in this role. They're great, yeah.
You know what? Sunshine ought to come back as Liv Morgan's aunt or something. But
Stella Mae French as her great aunt.
Yes. You call her the French kiss. But Finn and JD and Carlito and Dominic and Liv. I don't see the star in the group, the leader in the group. The veteran is Finn Balor, but he's not even, I think he's second or third biggest person in the group. And it seems to be a collection of people rather than there's always got to be a star in the band, doesn't there? The front man, the lead singer, something help me.
I think it's unfair what you're saying because these people have all been established together for a while. Also, a collection of people is every promo on AEW TV. This is not a collection of people because they've established that they all hang out in the clubhouse together for months now.
Well, no, I don't mean now over there, who's curating that collection? I mean, that's just a conglomeration, as Mark Briscoe says. It's random groupings. I know they're a group here, but I want to see the big star in the group that everybody kind of can bond. Or at least Priest had the towering presence. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just trying to criticize it. But anyway, they have the promo with every one of them gets to speak. They still boo Dominic out of the building every time he tries to talk. Rey Mysterio and the babyface Luchas come out. And Ray tells Dominic off, and they get in a fight, and they go to the break. When they come back, they got an 8-man tag. And it's a Judgment Day against the Lucha Faces. And by the time that Liv interfered and Dominic pinned Ray, and then the heels started getting heat, but Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest came out. That's when it got good. And we were half an hour into the show at that point. And Rhea got a hold of Liv, and the crowd went batshit. And Dominic was going to come off the top of the post, and there's Priest under him, so he got stuck like he was a cat that had been treed. And then finally Liv saved Dominic, but the Faces cleared the ring and gave JD and Carlito their finishes. But now we were 35 minutes into the show for a great fucking 2.5 minutes there.
Liv Morgan in this thing was so good because Rhea gets her, and then as soon as Rhea turns around, Liv's back in the ring and jumps on her back. She doesn't like try to punch with her. That'd be ridiculous. It's Rhea Ripley. That's why I say she would fit in with World Class. She jumps on her back. That's exactly what she should have done. Her and Dominic are perfect together. I don't even mind the rest of the Judgment Day. They're kind of figuring out their way as they do this, but JD and Finn are obviously kind of together, and Carlito's their lackey. So, good segment, though. Good segment.
Now, why are you just calling Carlito a lackey?
Well, that's how he got established with the Judgment Day. He was kind of in the R-Truth role, and then...
So just a wacky lackey.
Yeah, now he's the wacky lackey. He's got some size. He'll throw some punches, but he ain't gonna, get any wins.
Well, speaking of not getting any wins...
The wacky lackey.
The wacky lackey. I don't know who the winners are besides the Wyatt family deal in this. They're getting paid to do whatever they're doing, but did you... I don't even want to discuss it at length because I won't understand it anyway, but they did another Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas VHS interview. And I can understand he's talking about Chad Gable, but does it mean anything? Is this gibberish? I recognize the English words, but not put together in that order.
I had it on the background on mute. I'm not going to, pay too much attention to the Uncle Howdy segments.
All right, let's get to the meat of the matter. The 9 o'clock hour, because that's pretty much all that happened. Oh, and there was a girls' tag team match, playa. But the 9 o'clock hour, Drew McIntyre comes to the ring, live promo. They're chanting CM Punk. And Drew cuts a smart-ass promo. He does Punk's opening line. Isn't it great to be alive and well in, where were they, Potah, Oklahoma? Where were they at?
Oh, I don't know. I will have to find out.
Well, it's not really pertinent. That's what he said. But I forgot where they were. Because it's like I'm on this tour with them. It's just these cities are a blur. Every time I turn the TV on, they're in another city. Anyway, he sat cross-legged like Punk, and he mocked him, and he called the fans enablers because when they chant for him, then he gets a big head and does stupid things like challenging Drew McIntyre to a scrap match.
Providence,
Did I say
Rhode
a
Island.
scrap? Providence, Rhode Island.
In a scrap match.
In a scrap match. In the territories, it was known as a strap match, but they scrapped that idea. Anyway, so the point is, he said, every scar is going to be your fault that I inflict on this man. And then suddenly, Punk's music plays, and Drew McIntyre is ready to face him when he comes out, and Punk is in the ring from behind with a strap. How are they shuffling all these people to the ring in these giant arenas?
Apparently, Punk was live on Instagram under the ring. And if you were following him on Instagram, you saw that he was somewhere, and maybe you figured out it was under the ring. And then you saw him come out, put his phone on the apron, and then you don't really see anything. You just hear a bunch of noise, and then he grabs the phone again at the end.
Oh, that's brilliant. See, I don't know about the Instagram. I'm still trying to get my last telegram, so I didn't know that, but that's lovely. That's wonderful. And basically, he takes that strap and he starts wailing on Drew McIntyre, and then they go to the floor and Drew takes over, but he gets backdropped on the desk, and then Punk whips the shit out of him, and security comes out for a pull apart, and Punk beats up some of the security guys. And it was wild, and it was quick, and the people were into it. And they're having a strap match this weekend on pay-per-view. Imagine that. So this was nice and to the point of the matter. And again, McIntyre, God, he's just, again, what a difference in 2 years from ago. 2 years ago and now. What a difference from then until now is what I'm saying to you.
I agree. 2 years from ago, he wasn't what he is today.
No, he should have, we were wanting him to a go-go back then.
No, this is the feud of the year, I think. The Bloodline story is big, but it's not really a single concise feud. This has been the best story and the best feud all year.
Well, that was a pretty much, there was a triple threat. They're going to have triple threat matches to determine the contenders in a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the Intercontinental title. Oh, Jesus Christ. And then my DVR fucked up. And it skipped from an hour and a half into the show to the last 4 minutes of the show, but the last 4 minutes were probably the next pertinent thing that happened. Was it not?
Well, there was also the Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman
Oh,
match.
that's right. I'm sorry, but I got the clip of that as it was on a different pad. Because I couldn't watch that on the DVR, but I had to see it because we talked about it.
Well, we talked about what could this match be? Why are they doing
Well,
this
yes,
match?
last week we said, oh, God, I was very trepidatious that this match would be bowling shoe ugly, as Jim Ross would say. And so, hold on, I have now the proper pad. I went back and watched that on the YouTube. Bronson Reed and Braun Strongman. What did I say was going to happen? Or what did I say I was afeared would happen, Brian?
That Bronson Reed would have to take too many bumps off the guy while they're building him up?
No, just that they would, the idea that they would have to have the match before they do the angle. Remember I said, I'm right there with them if they'll just do the angle and not have the match. But God, if they have to have the match before they do the angle. Well, they had the match before they did the angle.
So you liked it?
No. Well, I liked the angle. The match was another story. Do you see what I mean now? That what I was afraid would happen would be that match that they had.
Again, you know, the fans were kind of into it, but it didn't really benefit Bronson Reed to have that kind of exposure to Braun Strowman kicking his ass before. But again, it built into, I guess, that he was so frustrated he couldn't really hurt him is why he attacked him with a garbage can. As soon as he came behind the apron.
I've seen more motion in a paralysis ward. There's fucking paraplegics that are more nimble than, because it accentuated the negatives for both guys without being able to accentuate any of their strengths. The big overpowering monster that's bigger than the guy he's wrestling, except when they're both supposedly irresistible force and immovable object, which kind of meets in the middle. I mean, Braun opened with the drop kick to the nuts. Did you see? He could get his feet 3 feet off the fucking ground. And then it was just meat chopping. Well, one guy would back the other guy in the corner, and that guy would be immobile while the other guy chopped meat, as they used to say in the business. And I mean, it was clothesline, squash in the corner, headbutt type of stuff, shoulders in the corner. They both did a cross body, which was kind of impressive for each, but and then finally Bronson Reed getting slammed off the top. But then there was another clothesline and some staggering. And I wrote, this is brutal. And it went like that basically until, you know, they fought to the back and they ran each other into the video screen a couple of times. And I wrote, the pace is glacial. And then Bronson Reed is trying to walk out through Gorilla. He's not even running because the other guy probably was blown up. He couldn't run to catch him if the fucking guy did run. And they fight in the back of the arena at the trash can and beat up security and go to the parking lot. And then they find the car to do the angle. He knocks Bronson Reed over, choke slams him on a car hood and knocks him over another car. But then they're fighting on the equipment cases, and Bronson Reed climbs to the top of the wall. And Braun Strongman is laying there on the hood, not the hood, but the top of the car, roof of the car. And it's about 6 feet. So maybe extra foot above the top rope, but it looks great because it's a concrete wall. And he splashed him and caved in the car roof some. And here comes Pierce and the referees, and there's chaos, and they go right to break. That was great. Great splash on the car hood, but God damn, that match was brutal. And it's not their fault. They can't really do anything else with each other. There has to be some one side of the match that can move, and I know people are going to say Bronson Reed can move, but he can't necessarily move Braun Strongman around. Do you see what I'm saying?
What match was better, this one or Adam Page versus Tomohiro Ishii?
Well, this one.
Because they were very similar in a lot of ways.
Well, what? Jesus
A
Christ.
giant of a man against a small
No, well, at least, I mean, this stuff just looked ugly. It didn't look silly. So we got that going for us.
So
But
again,
yes, that.
Well, I sorry to interrupt. But
I was just going to say this again. Again, it was a great angle at the end, but I don't think the match did anybody any favors getting there. But your thoughts?
We had the Seth Rollins injury angle, the multiple weeks of splashing the Miz, although he still appears to be breathing. And then, of course, now this angle where Braun Strowman got splashed on the roof of a car. Are they doing a good job rebuilding or finally building Bronson Reed?
Yes, and his finish, which is equally important. When people think of the glory days, Jake Roberts, the DDT, or Sergeant Slaughter, the Cobra Hold, or whatever, every Hulk Hogan, a leg drop. But every great star had their finish. And if this guy can do that to the names he's done it to, he can injure anybody with it. And it is dangerous, and it's exciting to see, and a blah, blah, blah. So that's not only pushing the guy, but it's giving him a major tool to use to get over even more, and something that people will buy if he does it to the main event fucking guys. If he does it to Roman Reigns, people would buy it. So that's what you've got to do also, and they're doing a wonderful job there. And how long does Braun get off now after this?
I don't know.
He was off for what, a long fucking time, and then suddenly popped back up, and then perhaps he's sitting.
Well,
Can that be a new verb or something?
I don't know. Maybe too soon. But you said you saw the final few minutes of Raw, so why don't we conclude with that?
Well, yes, it was Chad Gable against Boy Howdy, the leader of he's the leader of the clan that's made for you and me. And it was, again, I don't know, with the gray hair sewn into the mask, does that have a little bit of a ridiculous look? But finally the Creeds jump Howdy and beat him up, and the rest of the Wyatts jump them and beat them up, and they have a fight in the arena. And Howdy gives Gable his finish, 1, 2, 3. And I'm not getting the appeal. Again, Rowan looks like something. He's the big one with the red beard, right?
Yeah, he's the one. I think a couple people were actually hanging off him because he's so big. Yeah, look good.
Well, the girl that's with the Creeds jumped on his back, and he was walking around beating up the guy without hurting her, but just walking with, but he looks like something. The whole group of, I don't know what the fuck, but I don't see them. The people love when the lights go out and the entrance happens and or the incomprehensible videos play, but I don't know that their matches tear the house down. I don't know. And Gacy just looks like an independent fuck.
Is it too much of an outright tribute act? I mean, again, I hate to even call it that, but obviously it was his brother, and he was a part of the creative process with him on these ideas. But it's all, the same way like AEW, a lot of their stuff, you can't get past Punk. They were still referencing it. Not to say you want to get past Bray Wyatt, but I don't know. It doesn't.
Well, would it have been something to bring in Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, and then have him slowly introduce a few people instead of just bringing them all back all at the same time? And it's hard to get any sympathy on them. They've got everybody outnumbered. I don't
know. I guess the question is, there are people who really like those videos, right? We don't. But if they had come back and just done promos in the ring, explaining their cause, would they have been less over? Because people were going to listen to what Bo Dallas had to say right now. And if he could say the right thing and not go too long and hold the audience and introduce these people, would that be more effective than these videos actually are?
Can they actually tell what the story is and explain it where people, or is the whole point of the thing that they're just talking about shit that sounds cool, but it doesn't actually apply to anything, or you can't figure out how to put it together, or you don't have time in your life to investigate it deeply enough to do so?
Well, that was Raw. That was Raw, a Raw edition of Raw. And Jim, perhaps after something like that, you want to just sit back and listen to some good tunes, some cool tunes, and have a good time ignoring what you just saw. And you could do that with our friends or from our friends, with products from our friends. They have them, our friends at
Our
Raycon.
friends. Yes, the friends that we know down there, whether you do it with them or you do it for them or you do it from them, or you get the stuff to do it from them and do it on your own without them. Always remember Raycon. Thank you very much for your time.
Raycon. Wherever.
Or let me give you some more details, Brian.
Oh, that would help. That would be helpful for everyone.
Well, everybody, I feel like I'm telling people at this point how to tie their shoes. This is a basic fact of life that everybody's aware of. Our listeners, we've been talking about it for months and months and months and months and months. It's ingrained into their consciousness that the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds are without doubt the finest quality for the most affordable price earbuds that you're going to find, including the fact that they just launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday ear. They can't call them everyday now anymore, can they?
Why
Because
couldn't
now
they?
they're
What does that mean?
special.
Every day could be special with Raycon.
Well, every day isn't special. Some days...
It could be. Every day could be special with Raycon.
Some days are going to suck donkey balls, and it's not fair to put that much pressure on Raycon.
Turn that frown upside down with Raycon.
I think they should call them the Raycon Special Day earbuds, because they make every day a special day. How about that?
All right, that works too. That's good.
Okay, because with the Everyday Special Day earbuds, you get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design. That means it tickles your G-spot when you put them in your ears.
That is not what that... There's no G-spot in your ear, ladies and gentlemen. Like, they don't know that. Ladies,
Well,
you're smart enough to know your G-spot is not in your ear.
You didn't read Kinsey. They've also got the multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with two devices at once. I read about that in the Kinsey report, too.
All right.
They used to do it in Sweden all the time.
Sweden?
And it's available in a variety of vibrator colors. What? No, it's available in a variety of vibrant new colors. Not the colors of vibrators, ladies and gentlemen, but the vibrant new colors
Vibrant
to complement...
nudes.
No, the new colors, not vibrant nude colors. Well, to complement any and all skin tones, which...
Vibrant nudes.
Yes, one of them would be nude. Also, no matter what color you are, if you have rosacea, you're going to have a problem. But folks, again, right now, these things are optimized for the cozy custom fit, and they fit the widest range of ears. But the best part is they got the 30-day happiness guarantee. If you're not happy for 30 days after you get these things, well, then you just send them an email. Say, hey, I've never been more fucking depressed in my life. And they'll give you your money back. And their upgraded model, as we mentioned, will blow you away in vibrator colors. So right now, go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE today. You're going to get 15% off your Raycon order and free shipping. 15% off and free shipping, buyraycon.com/JCE. And again, Brian, if nothing else, in this uncertain weather climate that we find ourselves in, they're weatherproof and sweat resistant. Except if you turn your head sideways in a torrential downpour, they can't be responsible for whether your eardrums fucking leak or not.
They're responsible for delivering safely the wonderful sounds of your favorite songs and podcasts and radio shows and whatever else may be in the audio form. You could hear them today comfortably, without pain, without worry, with Raycon.
You know, some people listen to us underwater.
Who's that?
Well, the people that want to test out these weatherproof and sweat-resistant fucking earbuds, they just dunk their heads down, and we sound a little more hollow, and we say glub glub more. But otherwise, they still get the jokes on the program.
All right, well, get your gloves with Raycon. What's that promo code? One more time, Jim.
/JCE, and just be sure to mention what color you are so that they know what skin tone to send you.
No, specifically do not do that. That is a violation of various laws.
Well, what are they just supposed to guess? If you want, or elsewise you're going to have the wrong tone in your
figure
ear.
it out in a way that we don't have to explain with Raycon.
All right, make a copy of your driver's license, ladies and gentlemen. Include that with the order, and they'll go off your picture.
No, what's that promo code for no picture, Jim? That's right, JCE. JCE, as everyone's saying, Raycon.
And John A.I.U.
John A.I.U., I understand, is a big fan of /JCE. Let's slash through the crap that was Raw, and let's get to AEW Dynamite, and then we'll talk about some of the things happening in wrestling. AEW Dynamite.
We've done that. We were done with Raw, weren't we? Aren't we?
We are done with Raw, so
Yes.
We're going to get to AEW Dynamite, which took place from Chicago or Champaign, Illinois, coming out of...
Oh, yeah, no, hey, Champaign, not Chicago. Champaign, Illinois is not Chicago. And I don't know if everybody in Champaign, Illinois was in the building and they still only had 2,000 people, maybe. I don't know. They couldn't sell out a men's room of giving away free condoms.
Oh, come on now.
It
was a respectable crowd for a Wednesday night in...
Oh, come on. The regular
Midwest.
crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to Tony's billions of dollars. How big is that building that they were in, and how many people did they have, if you're going to make statements like that? It looked like a piss hole in a snowbank.
Let me find out.
They had the lights turned out. It looked like they were giving the fans a massage. They had the lights turned so low.
The pause, I guess, is you waiting for me to have the answer. I'm looking for the answer.
You have this shit at your fingertip.
According to WrestleTix, the estimate is 2,053 tickets distributed. The State Farm Center, let's look this up. By the way, market-to-market comparison.
And you know, and you heard what happened afterwards, after the TV taping was over with. State Farm told Tony Khan to find a new neighbor.
All right, we stop it. The capacity is 15,500.
15,000 people in the 15.5 capacity and 2,000 in the building. Hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, Heart.
Well, Mr. Gene Pitney.
No, that was Ricky Nelson.
Who wrote it?
Well, that's up for debate.
Gene Pitney.
Well, apparently that's not up for debate.
You like Ricky Nelson?
Did he live in a town without pity?
This is taking another one of those turns, ladies and gentlemen. AEW Dynamite in Champaign.
Well, it's better than the turn that they took. I think somebody's been back on to Champaign, because out came Plumber John Moxley. And I want you to try to... I will tell you what I saw, and then you try to tell me what it meant. Moxley comes out to brand new music. It's not Wild Thing. It's not in any way particularly peppy or easy to dance to. And he walks out his street clothes. He looked like a normal person for once. But he was just wandering around the arena. No Wild Thing, nothing to pump people up. The announcers are trying to verbally shit themselves over how unexpected and different this is than we've seen Moxley before. And as he wanders into the ring, Tony Schiavone gets in and tries to say something and ends up saying, well, how you doing, buddy? Everything okay? Like he just found his best friend crying on the couch because his wife left him. Or say, how you doing, buddy?
What a surprise. Okay? John Moxley's here. He just came in the building. John, what do you have to say? Not, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? What is that?
And Moxley stared at him like everybody else because they were dumbfounded at Tony saying that. But Moxley stared at him And then apparently they're saying on Twitter now, I don't know if you've heard this, that he is ripping off a gimmick or a character, or apparently even this whole promo from some goofy underground movie from 30 years ago.
Well, we have the audio.
Well, I wrote down a quote. I'll say this first. When Moxley is looking at Shivani, his story basically is he's been doing a lot of thinking about things that need to get done, and he's looking for somebody to have a conversation with. And this man is nothing like me, but everything like me. And then he says it's Darby Allin. And it's about time, Darby, that you and I had a talk. I won't be hard to find. Okay, they've never had any interaction, have these two ever? Can you think of it?
I don't recall any, no.
And then Moxley stares at Tony and looks at him and says, "This is not your company anymore." And Tony Schiavone acts stunned, and the fans' reaction is silence and puzzlement. And you said you had some audio, so
Yeah.
Can you augment what I've just said so that we can try to get to the bottom of this, which is apparently where it came from somebody's bottom.
This was tweeted at us a few times by people. This is from an account called Video Damned, or Video of the Damned, and the @ is @Video Damned. Wild reference last night by John Moxley on AEW show, the Australian cult classic Romper Stomper, 1992, channeling Russell Crowe's breakthrough performance as Hando. Let me play a little audio. You'll hear it go back and forth between Russell Crowe in the movie and John Moxley with Tony Schiavone. Russell Crowe kind of has a John Moxley look in this film as well.
I'm going to tell you something. I want you to listen to me, okay?
I'm going to tell you something, okay? I want you to listen to me.
This is not your country.
This is not your company anymore.
So there it is. What do you think?
I think that only AEW could figure out a way to blatantly steal something and steal the worst shit that you could possibly find. And how is this in any way going to apply to anything that John Moxley has anything to do with, or John Moxley's personality or history or whatever the fuck? Or did he just see a cool movie while he was sitting home drinking a bit of the bubbly and say, "Oh, I had to do that. That'd be tough. That'd be," what is it he says? Badass.
Badass dope.
Dope. Dope. You should always think of the word dope when you think of Moxley.
Dope on a rope. Let me ask you this about all this stuff here with Moxley. Did you, before we go forward, because I know you fast forward through parts at various points, did you see the segment with him later on in the back?
Yes.
Okay.
What was it he did? Help me. I remember.
Well, he walked upon
here.
two of the security
Oh,
guards.
yes,
just
the
sitting around.
security people, and then his new friend
Marina
also. Yes,
Shafir.
I remember that. Well, I wasn't going to spoil it for the people.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I just spoil it. People have seen it already, but
Oh, it's already spoiled.
I just wanted to make sure you saw it.
It was left out in the sun a long time before we started talking about it.
This is not your company anymore. No references or insignia on his outfit of the Blackpool Combat Club. A lot of rumors that fans are stirring up, or a lot of people at least talking about it, so that it was trending a little bit. The idea this could be the intro of Shane McMahon leading a stable of, I guess, Raw After Dark competitors. Remember, what was it? Fight Club? What was the Raw Fight Club segment?
It was yes, it was the underground
Raw
shotgun.
Underground. Yeah, something.
Under the ground.
Again, the idea this is not your company. All of a sudden, Marina Shafir and Moxley are Moxley's latest MMA themed group, or whatever this is. Any thoughts on the idea this could be Shane McMahon entering the picture as And, is that something to do? The idea of having Shane McMahon doing some kind of invasion angle, is that the best thing to do for buzz right now for AEW, if you can get him?
No. Well, it doesn't have anything to do with Shane fucking McMahon. And again, I guarantee you, Moxley watched a fucking movie while he's been off for the last 2 months doing who knows what with who knows where. And now he's got some brilliant fucking idea of how to translate this from the silver screen to the porcelain throne of AEW. And Shane McMahon is not going to be involved in this. There would be a completely different preamble if Shane was going to be involved, which he's not going to be. Jesus Christ, people.
I thought it was Moxley's best promo because he was serious and it was quick and to the point, even though there was no point, until I realized he was literally doing the exact same word for word.
Yes.
Performance even. I mean, just the same, grabbing Tony Schiavone the same way.
And it wasn't Tony Schiavone's company to begin with. Unless Tony's the secret owner.
What was Tony's way of saying hello to him? That was so weird.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. I wrote it down. It was, hey, how you doing, buddy? Everything okay? Like he was talking to a wounded dog.
He should have punched him.
Yeah, you okay now, Tony? Anyway, let's skip over some backstage bullshit. Hangnail Adam Page versus Ishii. I counted, Brian. Go ahead, ask me.
How many
were there?
How many times did they do the forearm?
At the bell, they stood in the middle of the ring and exchanged 85 fake forearms that didn't land and neither one sold. Now, I'm not saying there might have been a couple potatoes in there by accident. Just by odds, you have to land something, but this was the most. And then they did 18 chops the same way and went to the commercial break. What in the actual fuck are all these guys thinking? Can't anybody say to them, why are you doing this? It looks like shit. It's phony as fuck. Even if it did look good, you're doing the same shit that everybody else does. What the fuck is the matter with you?
Well, the other thing, too, specifically with the men involved in this, and notwithstanding what they did in the promo afterwards, if you're trying to build up Adam Page, why is he going through multiple commercial breaks with Ishii?
17 minutes. 17 minutes just for this match, the entrances in the match, and through 2 commercial breaks with this, again, odd-looking little man from Japan. And then he beats him with a buckshot lariat. What the fuck? And then we're not out of the woods yet. Because then now Page has beaten this fucking guy. And then here comes Swerve and Nana. And they have a long stare down, followed by a long discourse. Who the fuck is the heel here? What is... Swerve is mad that Page got involved in his match at All In, but he didn't do anything. Did I miss something? He came over the rail, security grabbed him, kicking and screaming away. He didn't hit anybody, did he?
No, I mean, he was fired up. He jumped the rail. They got him away. And then the next time we saw him, he wrestled for 17 minutes against Ishii.
So Swerve is mad you got involved in the match. And Swerve is calling Page a petulant little child, which he is, for his temper tantrums. But they are applauding Swerve Strickland and chanting Swerve's house and agreeing with things he said about Page. Wasn't he just a heel on Saturday?
I think technically he's in some bizarre way a heel here, but I'm not sure. But I thought around this point in time, Adam Page better say something and better really fire up at him because he's getting his balls cut off. This can't happen again. And I'll let you finish telling what happened.
Well, he fired up. He screamed at him, "You're a piece of shit. You broke into my home. You couldn't beat me on your own 3 times in a row. You needed Nana. Then you needed Nana and Cage. Then this, but it."
He got the fans with him, though. That's the thing. If it had ended with the Page promo,
yes,
it would have been one thing, but he got his balls cut off again.
Well, that's the thing. He fired up, and with Page, a lot of it with the screaming, it's too much because it's like he's trying too hard. He's having a heel fit, but he got the people with him. And he said he wanted Swerve just one-on-one. And then Swerve said, "Oh, so Nana and Ollie, you want to lock them out?" No, he never said those words. That's a very odd thing to say. Well, in that case, let's have a steel cage match. They just instantly made that leap. Instead of saying, "I want to let Page build it up. I want to get you in a spot where these other stooges can't interfere." But Swerve brought up the cage, so I don't know, maybe Page forgot. I don't know what's going on. But like you said, if it had ended there, but then Swerve went back and started giving a very calm history lesson of their issues, and then said, "You know, I went back to your house and I saw you taking your pregnant wife to the hospital." What? And he told this story. You can't win anything because you're so focused on me. And it went so long and sounded like a conversation in a library. And then he fucking just, told Page off again. Like I said, cut his nuts off again. And Page just walked out without saying anything.
Yeah.
But that was another 8 minutes of bliss. So we had almost a half an hour of Hangnail and his various issue with match and promo. Jiminy Christ.
Yeah, they had the moment there so he could walk away strong for once, and instead he just every time starts like, "I saw your wife." Everything is so cuts to the bone, and then the baby face or the heel or whatever
he just slunk out,
just walked away.
But who is who are we supposed to like? Anyway, I know who you like. Jamie Hayter versus Harley Cameron.
I think
what happened
to very talented, yes.
What happened to Ruby Soho? Did she run away?
She got pregnant.
Oh, that's right. Who do they suspect?
No, they know. Well, I mean, she knows. It's what's his name?
Apparently you don't know.
Cool Hand Angelo Parker.
Oh, good Lord. So they lose one of their top girls from a job guy's insemination process.
Will you be nice? Why are you saying anything? What made you even bring her up here? What is the problem?
Because they used to be in the group.
What group?
Right? They were saying that Jamie Hayter was in the thing with, well, it was Jamie and Britt, but Paige was an outcast with Ruby.
And Tony.
Well, see, all these girls are interconnected in some kind of way. But anyway, the best thing about this match, well, there was 2 things. Number 1, the big sign that said Meltzer fears Cornette across from the hard camera. And number 2, it was short. Jamie Hayter won with a clothesline. You want to flesh that out any?
There's really no fleshing out. I like the way still it happens again when Jamie Hayter comes out. Her hair bounces with her robe. It's kind of nice. But other than that, she's one of the most talented women in the company. So hopefully they do right by her. And that's that.
Her hair bounces because she uses Prel. Gives her extra body. Let's see. Okay, at 8:51 p.m., I'm going to skip over Jericho speaking to Roddy in a brutally fake fashion. But at 8:51 p.m., here comes MJF, and I'm thinking, how are they going to stretch this to 9 o'clock to get the boost, right? Because they're hauling out the big guns here. So MJF comes out. He's in a suit. He's somber. He's in pain. He says, I've got a headache. My neck hurts. Shut up or I'm going to beat up every single one of you. And I think he could. He had him outnumbered. But he's lost his ring. He's lost his title. He's got 2 herniated discs in his neck. And none of you had my back. That's what so he denounces his American citizenship, except for Plainview, Long Island. Rest of it sucks. And he denounced the fans, all he's done for them and this company, and, called Osprey a circus act. There wasn't really enough people to make a lot of noise, but he was trying, right? And he said, it's not over with Osprey. And then he switched to Daniel fucking Garcia. And he starts screaming, if you ever show your face, and Garcia comes from behind and gets all over him and got a front face lock on him and choked him out. It's just like, it's an insult to the Brooklyn Brawler to say this, but if like the Brooklyn Brawler came out and gave Steve Austin a fucking stunner, and then he went to pile drive him, but dropped him and thought better of it and took him to the corner and put him on the top turnbuckle, and MJF is just having to sell this fucking nobody like he's goddamn death, and he puts him on the top and he's going for a super pile driver. And security hits the ring. Did you see Daniel Garcia jump down and fight security?
I did.
It was a fight, all right. If I'd have been 2 of those guys, I believe I'd have had words with his son of a bitch in the locker room. There were 5 security guys. And Garcia was trying to punch each one of them as they came in the ring. The punches were so wild. Out of the first 4, his fist missed the guy's face or head twice. And on number 5, he potatoed the guy in the face with his forearm, trying to throw a punch. Go back and watch it in slow motion. I was mesmerized. Named for the great Anton Mesmer.
Are we seeing too many schlubby looking, well, I shouldn't even say that, just clearly indie wrestler security guards on these shows lately? Like way too many?
And if you go to any goddamn other event in the world, you either see jacked up security guards, or you see elderly security guards, or you see some fucking guy that looks like he don't give a shit, looking like fucking Jack Albertson and Chico and the Man security guard. You don't see these young 22-year-old reasonably fit guys that suddenly know how to be thrown over the top rope. But it's in every segment now. First, never had any of them. Then it's in every segment, but 5 of them can get beat up by 1 woman.
And they're always pleading. They always have their hands out. No, please, no.
Yeah.
No. What security guard does that?
Every security guard that I've ever seen attempting to handle a situation was a little more fucking firm about it. They were almost rude in some cases. But anyway.
That wasn't the end of this after they...
No, it certainly wasn't, because then MJF gets Daniel Garcia from behind and tries to punch him. But Garcia, he's on his back and he's covered up. He's got his hands over his fucking head. You can't hit anything. So they all look fake. All the fucking guys are doing this. The heels try to get heat on you, and they're moving and they're flinching and they're covering up, and so they're just windmilling in the direction of the fucking guy. If you did that to many of the top heels in the territory days, they would grab you, spread your fucking hands out, and punch you as hard as they could in the goddamn face for covering up on their shit, which is A, telling them that they're rotten workers, and B, not giving them an opportunity to do shit that looks good to get their shit over. But that's just me. And then MJF gets heat on Garcia, and all the 5 of the security guards took 1 punch each from Garcia, and had been knocked out. I know one of them for real. Yes, I know. And then suddenly, as MJF is going to fucking put Garcia up on top or whatever, Garcia makes a comeback on him and tries another pile driver off the top, and now security and Chris Daniels stop him. And they pull MJF away. And I wish I could say that was the end. But Garcia got the microphone. They're letting him speak. And he said he pawned the ring for a ticket to London. And he tried to do a promo. He wants to ruin MJF's life. It's his fetish. And he wants MJF at All Out, which might be renamed Awful at this point. And he also wants to break MJF's neck, and he threw the mic at him.
That would really hurt him if he broke his mic.
Broke his mic. That would be a deadly, fatal illness. And there was more pulling apart. And MJF agreed to the match and then left. And Garcia runs to the back after him. And the security guards follow. And as they're going in the tunnel, one of them trips over his own feet and falls flat on his fucking face and almost trips Chris Daniels on the way back. And also
wait for them to leave. That was the
yes. And they were all done at exactly 9 p.m. So I'm thinking, well, what now are they going to start at the top of the hour? But let's go back and think about this. Fuck. MJF and Garcia? Danny fucking Garcia? Isn't that again booking malpractice, trying to use again one of the only guy that's got some value on your whole roster as far as ratings and main event match potential, and you're trying to use him to get a hopeless cause. If you took a tank of helium and shoved a tube up Garcia's ass, you ain't gonna get him over. Not right now. Sorry. What the fuck are they doing here?
And the rumor is that maybe he re-signed the contract. WWE was after him, and I hate to do a throwback to this, and we'll talk more about it later with another contract, but kind of what you said, maybe WWE is offering everyone.
Well, no, Garcia's contract is coming up for renewal. Let's say, what do we want to offer him? Because fuck, it's monopoly money to us at this point. So what do we want Tony to have to pay to keep him? I'm just telling you.
Well, we'll see. But, I think the problem is they want to elevate him. They need to elevate somebody. He's had time off. He doesn't look like he's picked up. He actually shouldn't say that. It looked like his shoulders were a little bigger, so he picked up a little size. But the promo isn't there, I don't think. And, again, I'm kind of sick of MJF being used to make other people.
And at some point, he's not Merlin the Magician, is all I'm saying. But anyway, speaking of magic tricks, to make people watch this next thing, you would have had to use some type of magic. An 8-man tag team match, Pockets and Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly and Hook against Jericho, Big Bill, Little Brian, and Roddy Strong at 9 o'clock. And they did multiple entrances, Hook, and then Pockets and Briscoe and Kyle and Roddy and the Jericho goofs. I'm thinking they're trying to kill 9 o'clock. And this went through 2 breaks. And it was every indie wrestler's wet dream of a match where everybody got to do everything. And then Hook choked out Roddy for the finish, and then they all fought, but Taven and Bennett came out and beat up Hook, and then security came out. They're having a busy night. They barely had time to get the smelling salts from when Garcia knocked them out with 1 punch each. What'd you think? Yeesh.
It went forever. Hook got beat up again. I think there are certain people that don't help the show grow, whether fair or not. Jericho's been proven that he's a net negative right now on this show, and it's just so lame. It's awful. Roddy Strong, I think people are kind of sick of him. He's been all over this show, and I don't know. And Orange Cassidy, I think everyone's sick of him except for the 2,000 people in Champaign, like that kind of thing. The most devoted. Mark Briscoe's being, I think we said it before. Mark Briscoe does these promos and he's surrounded by all these other random people. It doesn't help him. It's not like Jimmy Valiant going in there and doing promos with other people. Everyone was over. When Jimmy Valiant showed up in the middle of a Ric Flair promo, Ric Flair was over. They were both over. Mark Briscoe needs to be over because that's a guy who could have a good singles run outside of the Ring of Honor Championship, whatever that means now. But they constantly have him surrounded by Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Men and women, just anyone.
Random multi-man matches. You can't, again, take anything seriously with the mascot involved.
His promos have become the pay-per-view pre-show of Wednesday night. Just get everyone in there. Everyone who needs some time, get in there for that promo. And Renee Paquette is just hamming it up and has like 6 different people she has to react to all at once. Just focus on Mark Briscoe.
That's a safe shot every time. But speaking of shots, I think I need one. Some type of inoculation after watching the next segment. Were they bordering on the lewd and the vulgar here with this Mercedes Mone segment?
Well, again, we criticize her acting and her fake personality, and this was all of that on display and so much more. Clearly written by the Emmy Award-winning Jennifer Pepperday. This was awful.
Alexandra Pepperday.
Was that it? I forget what it was, but this was awful. I remember what this was. No. This was awful.
So Mercedes is in the back having a party for herself, apparently, with Camille there and 2 other random people that we don't know who the fuck they might be. And Camille looks fantastic. I feel so sorry for her. She's stuck in the middle of this shit. So there's a party room set up and there's 4 people on fucking camera, and then Private Party come in and say, well, you can't have a party without Private Party. And one of them tries to hit on her by saying, and if this is the way that he talks to women in real life, apparently he's never done this before. And who are the baby faces here? You've got this obnoxious, self-inflated, important, egotistical bitch with her bodyguard. And here come these 2 assholes in, and one of them is making all kinds of lewd comments about her red dress would look good on top of him or whatever. And then Camille gets in that guy's face and shoves him back. But here comes O'Cody with that random fucking belt he's got. And apparently they pay him millions of dollars a year just to stand around in the back and look stupid with that blank look on his face. He comes in and he's going to take up for fucking Mercedes and faces off with Private Party. And he tells her how to say bye-bye bitches in Japanese, which apparently is sayonara bitches. Who are we supposed to like here? What is going on? What just with this segment? Why would any of this be a good idea?
Yeah, what are Private Party thinking? Obviously, with Okada and Mercedes in there, this is the We Fleece Tony party. They don't have contracts like that. What the hell are they doing over there?
No, they're lucky to be employed if they are fucking mowing Tony's lawn on Saturdays.
Seriously, we're talking about contracts. Mercedes and Okada, here they are in the same segment, a terrible segment, a Vince McMahon WWE Raw-esque segment.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like it belongs in 2024. And these 2 are making, more than almost any wrestler in that company. So it's crazy.
Well, speaking of crazy, let's see, just real briefly, Maria May decided she wasn't going to do her title celebration in this crummy town. And in the parking garage, the Grizzly veterans and the Buckaroos argued with each other.
Oh my God, did you watch this?
Yes.
Okay, good. And the promo afterwards?
Well, afterwards, I've written down Ricochet and Fletcher. Did I miss something afterwards?
No, they show the video of the Bucks and the grizzled young veterans interacting backstage at Wembley, and then they cut to a new promo with the grizzled young veterans.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Where
where they say the same catchphrase that doesn't sound good twice.
Yes, but also, well, that's the least of their problems. First of all, you got the Buckaroos. They're the highest paid tag team in the history of wrestling from what they've said from their own chicken lips. And all they do is show up to natter at people backstage for about a minute and a half in a pre-tape. And secondly, the grizzly veterans look like goddamn homeless people. If you took a picture of them, their faces, and they weren't in wrestling gear, they're just T-shirts and sweatpants, and you put it on the local 6 o'clock news and said 2 homeless people arrested for living in a box under the overpass, nobody'd know the difference. It wouldn't look out of place. And they're...
Did you get their catchphrase?
What was it? I didn't write it down.
This is what made me laugh. They say it when they walk away from the Bucks, and then they cut to them in, I guess, what's supposed to be real time, and they say it again, and it doesn't work either time. If you see us, grit your teeth. That's the worst catchphrase I've ever heard.
Yeah. Well,
and they did it twice.
And that's the thing. It was confusing because there was no real identification of the pre-tape from last week versus then they're coming back to comment again. Nevertheless, what the fuck, right? Just what the fuck. And I guess that's so the Buckaroos can have somebody to beat up from now on, I guess. Is that why they're bringing them in?
Why? Or they're going to work with FTR. Remember, they attacked FTR.
Well, that was just to get the Buckaroos' attention, I'm sure. Anyway, the main event, not the last segment, but the main event of this program was the TV debut, not pay-per-view, but the TV debut of Ricochet in AEW against Kyle Fletcher with his manager, Don Fallis. And I've got to say again, Kyle is trying. You can tell he's putting effort in. Conditioning, his body looks better. His gear is clean. He's got an outfit. He's trying the new fancier haircut. He's got a tan. He's trying. But they keep beating him. And then, didn't he just switch babyface in the deal with Ospreay and MJF? Just 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, right?
Well, kind of. He was presented as the babyface, but Don Callis is still his manager.
But Don Callis is a babyface because every time somebody asks to be out of his group, he benevolently agrees.
But he also has a screwdriver that he stabs people with.
No, he hands it to other people so they can decide whether to stab him or not.
So he's an accomplice. But anyway, yeah, I get your point.
Okay, so Kyle switched babyface a couple weeks ago, got shit kicked out of him in Ospreay's fucking stead. That's my best friend there, mate. And now he's a heel against the new hot babyface that they've signed for who knows how many millions of dollars. Let's just be honest now. Cat's out of the bag. Tony's giving these guys a fucking fortune. So Ricochet's a babyface, and now Kyle is a heel with a heel manager, but he still never wins. And I wrote at the top, he's going to get smashed again here because it's Ricochet's TV debut. Well, that was incorrect. Ricochet won this by the skin of his fucking teeth.
And again, this one went a while too.
Oh, God, yes. And again, both of these things can be true. Kyle can be a wonderful young talent that you want to bring along and give a little push to, and Ricochet can be the big new signing and needs to make a splash on television. Just don't book this match this week. If you can't give Ricochet somebody that he can beat definitively in his first appearance on television in 8 minutes, you're a fucking lunatic. And that should have been the instruction to the guy. Go out there, do some of your shit, let the guy cut you off, get a little steam on you, make a comeback, beat him with your finish. Give me 7 or 8 minutes. That's all you needed. Don't make it the main event. It's the first time he's been on television for you. It doesn't have to be the main event. If you want to take care of Kyle, don't book him with a guy that needs to beat somebody clean in 8 fucking minutes. And both guys are in shape. They're both athletic. It was aggressive parkour very quickly, but at least they're crisp with it. It's not the awkward, just indie bullshit that they're high-level athletes doing phony wrestling. But I couldn't tell which one they were pushing. And finally, Ricochet makes a comeback, and he made his comeback and then didn't beat him. Fletcher took back over. And then there was some more flipping, and then Ricochet hit a dive on the floor, and then they had to talk to each other, and then the fans were silent, and then Ricochet went for a splash, and Kyle raised his boots and gave Ricochet a brainbuster and got a 2 count. I mean, they've changed the goddamn momentum again. What the fuck in his debut? And then Kyle beat him up some more. And then Ricochet fought back, hit a Death Valley driver 2 count. I mean, what the fuck? And then he hit some kind of goddamn move, 1, 2, 3. So I don't know how that they've been allowed to convince themselves that that's the way you debut a new star on television against a guy who, to my knowledge, has not won a match on television. Has he? I'm willing to be corrected. Has he won 1? Fletcher?
I don't recall if we've seen him get a pinfall on TV or anything.
So then Ospreay came out, and he's about to talk when suddenly Pac runs out from behind and gives him a reverse Hurricane Rana headfirst on the fucking stage and knocks him out colder than a banker's heart. And then Pac cuts a heel promo and says that Ospreay belongs to him. So Ricochet should not... I don't know who he's telling to do what to who. Just Ricochet should stay out. Ricochet should stay out of the way. Okay?
He wasn't getting in the way.
I don't know. But now Pac is partners as the 6-man tag team champions with Claudio and Useless, who are baby faces because they were wrestling other heels. But Pac is a heel that hates Ospreay, who's a baby face, who's best friends with Fletcher, that's a heel, who just got beat by the new baby face that Pac is telling to stay out of his way. You got that?
All right, well, we still had more. That was the main event, but that was not the final segment on this.
And no, it was.
Sure.
We got 2 more things to happen, and you're going to have to help me on one of them. But in the back, suddenly we see the plumber. Moxley still hanging around an hour and a half after we saw him. He sees a couple of guys, the security guys or whatever, sitting there. And I couldn't understand what he mumbled something to them. And then a girl came in, you saw from the back, and beat them up, these 2 security guys. And another security guard sees her and comes up, ma'am, you're going to, and gets judo throwed. Well, it's Marina Shafir. And then just to make sure we know not to take it seriously, another guard runs around and looks up and says, hey, you guys are going to, oh, never mind, and turns around and runs away. And then she shoved the cameraman down with the handheld camera, and it was fake as shit, and then she and Moxley walk out together. So who was the girl in the movie that he's ripping off?
I don't know, but it's like he looked at his previous gimmick. It was like, how could I become more badass? Just walk
But
around,
na-
beat
but
up security
now-
guards with Marina Shafir. They don't know her.
Well, but she's going to have to do some of the lines from the movie, right?
Who else is going to
So-
join? Where's Dabo Kato? If Shane McMahon's going to be involved in this, we'll know because Dabo Kato will be there.
Why did people tie Shane McMahon to the plumber and Marina Schaefer?
I think they tied him to the plumber, well, John Moxley, because of the promo saying this is not your company anymore, before they realized he was just stealing it from a movie, thinking, it's kind of like Scott Hall showing up on Nitro and saying that things are going to change.
Yeah.
Although, it's not exactly
Only
like
it's
that.
not like that
Yeah.
in any way because that drew money. But also,
He walked through a full house to get to the ring that night.
yes. And besides that,
He didn't wear green pants.
is the guy in the guy in the movie, did he take over somebody's company? Did he purchase something? What did he do? What can we expect from this angle based on, well, you've never seen the movie. Folks, if you've seen this rotten fucking outlaw movie that Moxley's trying to steal from now, what was it? Humpty Dumpty?
That's what I'm trying to look up because I remember it was like a Shifty Wifty or something.
Romper Room.
Romper Stomper.
Romper, if you've seen this movie, just tell us what Moxley's going to be doing for an angle for the next couple of months or whatever. If, what did this guy in the movie do? And who is Marina Schaefer playing?
Romper Stomper. Let's see what this movie is real quick. Romper Stomper.
Oh, you're going to Google it?
It's a 1992 Australian drama film. It tells the story of the exploits and downfall of a neo-Nazi group in blue-collar suburban Melbourne.
Oh, well, that'll get over good once they figure out that he's doing a neo-fucking-Nazi. What? What?
I know what will make me the ultimate badass. Renee, you're blonde. It'll work.
So the synopsis continues?
Well, then that was just the opening, the plot. A gang of violent young neo-Nazi skinheads attacked 3 Vietnamese Australian teenagers in a tunnel, brutally beating 2 of them. The gang is led by Hando, that's the Russell Crowe character,
Handjob.
a violent, reckless, and unpredictable psychopath with strong white nationalist beliefs and homicidal tendencies.
Well, there's either something that Moxley imagines himself to be, fantasizes himself to be, all except the, I don't know about the neo-Nazi part, but he fantasizes himself as violent and badass and tough and homicidal and suicidal and
With his friend and
pesticidal.
His friend and second in command, the quiet, reserved, but similarly violent Davey. At their local pub, Hando and Davey meet Gabrielle, who suffers from poorly controlled epilepsy, the day after her sexually abusive, affluent father, Martin, has her junkie boyfriend arrested.
Good Lord, what a... These are Moxley's kind of people. Is Nick Gage going to pop in sometime soon?
Gabrielle begins a romantic relationship with Hando, which, despite a strong start, quickly becomes dysfunctional as he becomes...
I thought those kids were going to make it.
Do you want me to go to the end, or you want me to leave it there?
Sure, go to the end.
Let me go to the very end. Oh, the morning after. What led to the agitated...
Oh, the morning after. What was the night before?
Agitated by Gabrielle's criticism of the poor outcome of the robbery and their living conditions, Hando abruptly hits, berates, dumps, and then evicts her. Davey,
Hey, Marina, watch out. That's your future.
Davey, unable to tolerate the excess violence and Hando's cruel and unpredictable nature any further, declares his departure from the gang and gives Gabrielle his German grandmother's address, where he will be staying.
So you're saying Davey wasn't even there?
Gabrielle informs the police of the gang's location and spends the night with Davey, where they confess their feelings for one another. Davey also reveals his doubts about his violent lifestyle. Okay, I've had enough of reading this, but if this is where we're going, this is not good. And we already saw that they're willing to just take shit out of movies with the Mariah May, Tony Storm stuff.
But why would you take something out of this movie? And what is he going to do? The neo-Nazi light, where he's violent and homicidal and crazy, but just not, he's just not a Nazi.
I'm Neo Moxley.
Oh,
I am the Neo Moxley. Tell him, Marina. You're good on the mic.
and she would say, I don't know you.
Well, listen, these crazy kids, when they're not beating up the people in the back, they obviously may not be ingesting the best things. Maybe they need some of the right things to ingest, some of the right ingredients, some of the right, what exactly do we say? Some of the right seed, I guess we should say.
They need to get their intestinal fortitude in order. Is what they need to do. It's been a while since we've talked about our friends at Seed. We want to bring the younger, newer listeners up to date. Seed is a fine group of people that are going to help you with your gut health. Because, Brian, your gut is a central hub for various pathways through the body. And a healthy gut microbiome means benefits for digestion, skin health, heart health, your immune system, and so much more. You can be less sick. You can be shinier. Your heart can be free again and full of life. And you can digest all that gas station garbage that you eat under normal circumstances when you're going about your daily life. If you use the incredible Seeds DS-01 Daily Synbiotic. You know the biotics, we talked about them.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of biotics because you got probiotics and you got antibiotics, right? Some biotics are good and some biotics are bad. That's why sometimes you're probiotic and sometimes you're antibiotic. Now, the bad biotics are called the damaging biotics or dambiotics, but the healthy biotics are the hellbiotics. So you want to be probiotic of the hellbiotics, but you want to be antibiotic of the dambiotics. Now, see, that's clear, isn't it? It just follow the science. And the folks at Seed, they have the patented capsule-in-capsule design because you're going to be taking 24 strains of bacteria all in this capsule, and you're going to put it into your gut, and it's going to survive that journey. That's right. They open up the pathways through the gut, the yellow brick road, where it will lead you to the better digestion and skin health and heart health and immune system and so much more that people find, that improves with Seed. And also, the big thing is, Brian, of course, courage.
What?
If you take Seed regularly, it'll give you courage. Because what's one of the oldest sayings in the world? Come on and do something about it if you've got the guts.
Right.
Well, if you've got poor gut health, you don't have the guts to do anything about it. But if you take Seed's DS-01 Daily Synbiotic to benefit your gut and skin and heart health in just 2 capsules a day, and you've got better guts, then you will be able to do something about it. And that will give you courage. Because if you have no guts, then you're just a simpering weasel cowering in a corner. But when you take Seed, you're going to go out down the street, you're going to put your foot up somebody's ass if they cross you sideways, because you've got courage. You're going to climb that hill and plant that flag, because you've got courage. You're going to whip that bully and knock him out and put your foot in his balls as you stand over him and let his girlfriend blow you, because you've got courage.
Well, again, none of these are guarantees if you have gut health, but gut health is important, and I guess you can't have guts without gut health.
Well, exactly. There you go. Once again, follow the science, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, you can support your gut this summer with these 2 capsules a day. You work it into your daily routine. It's not like you're drinking castor oil. And it's going to help a variety of parts of your body. But all these bacteria strains will survive the journey into your digestion. And there's no synthetic or chemical coatings on these pills, no refrigeration needed. Why, you can just take this stuff at room temperature, and boom, and regularity? You might be almost unstoppable. So right now, Support your gut this summer because your gut supports you. With Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic by going to Seed. And they haven't gone to Seed, by the way, as a company. They've prospered. Go to seed.com/JCE and use the code 25JCE, and you're going to get 25% off your first month's Seed Symbiotic. See, there's another kind of probiotic, antibiotic, symbiotic. You got to watch your biotics, ladies and gentlemen. 25% off your first month, seed.com/JCE with the code 25JCE.
Well, certainly a lot of seeds planted for future episodes of Dynamite on this week's episode of Dynamite, but there's one more segment to go, and it was the big main event, or the big final segment.
The big final segment, and it was the new AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson going to the ring to tumultuous applause from however many people were there in that giant cavernous arena. But he woke them up, and they like him, and they chant, "You deserve it," and yes, and the whole thing. And he starts real babyface, and he said, my daughter said, "Daddy, this was the best day of my life," when he won the title. And then my DVR froze. I forgot to record Modern Family, and we were at 10 o'clock, and I have no idea, because yesterday was Stacy's birthday, and I did not seek out the information, what he said or did after that. Can you help fill in the blanks?
He kind of said what we thought, well, what we talked about as an option during the review of the pay-per-view match. He is going to retire as a full-time wrestler. He's right now working without a contract, but he's not going to give up the championship. So he's going to wrestle until someone actually defeats him for the championship. And then he's going to go home to his kids, who had such a great time that they still want him to come home as soon as he can.
Yeah, it was the greatest day of her life, but don't do that anymore.
His day too. I think he said it was the best day of his life too. So two members of the family had the same reaction. They both said, all right, it's time to end this. I guess you leave on top, very much like Seinfeld or the Beatles. But at that point on the video screen, his next challenger appeared, Jack Perry.
Oh, God damn it.
And Jack Perry was giving a very performance-based performance. I don't know, what do you say? A very actory performance, a very I don't believe you performance, a very this is ridiculous performance.
A very self-aggrandizing, dramatic portrayal of a wrestler, but not actually being one.
Yeah, very much like, why, Tony, are you still doing this? And then while the video is going on, he shows up in the ring behind Danielson and attacks Danielson.
Well, we've never seen that before.
So that's our next thing for All Out, apparently. It will be Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry.
Christ on a cracker. Well, apparently...
And someone wrote, and I can't unsee it now, someone wrote that he has T-Rex arms. And I know he's not a big overall, but now I can't unsee it. I can't take him seriously at all.
Well, also, Birdie won't... it looks like she's not going to get Daddy home as early as she thought, because yeah. Jack Perry ain't winning that title 2 weeks later, so... Good God.
What are your thoughts on... And we've seen examples of it before, or it was supposed to be that way before. I remember Ric Flair in WWF, the idea that I'm going to keep wrestling until I lose. Do you think it's a strong thing to use as a promotional tool, as a booking tool?
Well, yet now they're trying to make something out of what everybody already knows to be true. So that's not bad, in that Bryan Danielson is going to retire at some point imminently, that he does have a bad neck, that his family wants him to come home, but now he's got the title. So every match theoretically would be important, because this could be it. The jig could be up. But Jack fucking Perry to start out with, isn't that... It's kind of like a fucking gimme. They wouldn't be that stupid, would they? To do all this just for Jack fucking Perry?
We don't know what direction they're going in past this point, but we're talking about a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Now, although the Hangman Adam Page Swerve thing has a long backstory, if you were going to do a kind of a rush program just to have a pay-per-view main event, would that justify this?
At this point, why risk Danielson's tenuous health for a match that is not going to really sell any extra tickets? Because he really, if it was a work, fine, but he really is kind of fucked up. So why take any chances just for... I'm sure he wants to have a wonderful match with Jungle Jackoff and elevate him in the eyes of the beholders.
And by the way, it may not happen. It shouldn't happen. I don't think it'll happen. But don't think it's too crazy for Tony to put the belt on someone like Jack Perry. He took a beating from Jack Perry. And Jack Perry, nothing ever happened. He beat up the boss of the company, and that was it. There was no comeuppance.
Well,
and then he lost War Games by someone else giving up for him.
The comeuppance may be when they get the year-end financial statement. But so again, the world champion is wrestling Jack Perry. The biggest proven ratings draw in the company, MJF, is wrestling Danny Garcia. Yes, you should pick young wrestlers to push them and get them over and put them in main event spots, but not ones that are obviously for different but pretty much apparent reasons not ready for it or not going to be able to carry the ball if you hand it to them. While you gloss over many over the past 5 years that maybe could have done something if they had half of a legitimate chance. So it's just, but who's friends with the Buckaroos?
Well, that was AEW Dynamite from Champagne. Maybe they were drinking the champagne. But Jim, let's talk about some ratings.
As Mama Cornette used to say, they've got a champagne taste and a beer pocketbook. But in this case, it's the other way around. They got the money to buy all the champagne they want, but they're just chugging this cheap beer.
All right, hold on while I pull this up, because apparently there is an update to the numbers.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Is it like hotel points now where Tony's able to buy some with his credit card points?
I don't think it's that, but we have something here from WrestleNomics, an update. Due to a Nielsen reporting error, the viewership data for this episode of Dynamite has been corrected. The error occurred because Warner Brothers Discovery mistakenly designated that Dynamite ended at 10:09 p.m. Instead of its actual time of 10:06 p.m. As a result, viewership data for the 3 minutes of Modern Family that followed Dynamite was incorrectly included in Dynamite's average. The corrected, slightly higher viewership figures are as follows. And Jim, AEW Dynamite, August 28th on TBS, 8 to 10:06 p.m., on average was watched by 697,000 viewers.
Wait a minute, that was corrected upward?
It was previously reported at 691.
Jeez, oh Pete. All right. Well, it seems like every year they get in a groove where they do numbers similar pretty much every week, but every year the beginning number drops one. They used to do 800 and something thousand, and the next year they did 700 and something thousand. Now they're doing 600 and something thousand. But where did we start and where did we wind up?
Well, we'll go to this. This was compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Jon Moxley live promo. The Conglomeration Willow Nightingale Hook backstage promo. And the start of Tomohiro Ishii versus Hangman Adam Page with picture-in-picture. 765,000 viewers.
Ouch, okay. They started much lower than normal. So this would indicate that they're not going to lose the percentage of their audience they did last week because they're starting at a lower spot to begin with.
Well, we go to quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m., the continuation of Ishii versus Page with picture-in-picture ads and the post-match with Swerve Strickland. 712,000 viewers.
Okay, so they only lost 53,000. Last week it was in triple digits. These people they should have sent these people over the Oregon Trail. They're a hardy breed that stuck around for that thing.
Well, we continue down that trail into quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland's live promo continued. An ad break. And Jamie Hayter versus Harley Cameron, 706,000 viewers.
Well, that's within, a normal fluctuation, only 6,000 more people. They ought to consider that a gift.
We go now to quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Learning Tree Roderick Strong backstage promo, an ad break, the All-In recap, and the MJF Daniel Garcia live angle, 687,000 viewers.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. There's MJF doing his deal, and they put it right behind Jericho and that mess who had run off another 19,000 people. So, and then they, at 9 o'clock, they go through a ridiculous parade of entrances of bleh talent. Where did they go at 9 o'clock? Up or down?
Well, the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter five, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The Ricochet video, Roderick Strong and the Learning Tree versus Hook and the Conglomeration, with picture-in-picture, 698,000 viewers.
Okay, so they got 11,000 back at the top of the hour, and that means that so far, for the first time that I can ever remember, we're 5 quarters in, and MJF has been in the lowest rated quarter because of where he was placed.
Well, we go now to quarter six, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation of that giant match with picture-in-picture ads. The post-match with the Undisputed Kingdom. The Mercedes Moné private party Camille Kazuchika Okada backstage party. And an ad break. 671,000 viewers.
And there went 27,000 after they'd gained 11. And looking at the average, I believe we're coming up on the edge of a fucking cliff, aren't we?
I don't know about a cliff this week. Quarter seven, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The Mariah May ramp promo. The Grizzled Young Veterans Young Bucks backstage angle. The Grizzled Young Veterans backstage promo. An ad break. A Konosuke Takeshita video. And Ricochet versus Kyle Fletcher, the start at least. 644,000 viewers.
Well, not as bad as I thought. I'm just trying to look and see what they'd have to do in this last one to make their average, and they might stay steady. Well, reveal the secret.
Quarter eight, and I remind you there's an overrun, although these overrun numbers may not be exactly accurate based on what I just read. But let's just do the quarter eight here. 9:45 to 10 p.m. The continuation of Ricochet versus Kyle Fletcher with picture-in-picture ads. The post-match with Will Ospreay and Pac. The Jon Moxley Marina Shafir backstage angle. And the start of the Bryan Danielson live promo. 683,000 viewers.
Good Lord. Okay, they actually came back up to where Ricochet's, the bulk of his debut was only on the third lowest quarter hour of the show, the way they formatted this thing.
And for the record, the overrun listed here, which was still a 9-minute overrun, 10 to 10:09, but the show ended at 10:06, so this is not accurate. The Bryan Danielson Jack Perry live angle, 629,000 viewers.
Ouch, that would be hopefully not accurate.
It was on the way down there, but that wasn't as far as it actually went for AEW.
So taking that out, let's just go to the end of quarter eight. They only lost 82,000 people this week. So it was much more consistent than the last few weeks where they were down the hill, the slalom. Well, I guess it's the small victories, huh?
I mean, you just look for any signs of growth. That's the only thing you're not seeing. You're seeing signs of being able to maintain the base, but you're not seeing signs of growth. But we shall see what happens. That's AEW Dynamite, or at least the ratings of them.
It certainly is and was.
Well, Jim, moving on from Dynamite, let's stay on the topic of AEW because some people have sent this over to us now, and I have here the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. This is the, what issue is this? This is the September 1st issue, I believe. Yes, that is indeed what it is.
Yes, it's about that time.
Another major story of the week was the announcement that Swerve Strickland had signed a new deal. Based on what we've been told, this deal locks him up through September 2029. It was well known that WWE tried to make a play for the Strickland and Prince Nana act. The deal
and by the way, have I ever mentioned I despise when he phrases things like that? Yeah, this act like it's a vaudeville crew.
The deal was reportedly agreed to
Where's the juggling fucking monkeys?
The AEW deal was reportedly agreed to a few weeks back, but they saved the announcement for here. People were talking about how Swerve has become a rich man with the new deal, and it's believed to be among the biggest deals in pro wrestling, although would be well below the Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton level.
Oh, wow.
It's probably in the range of the Kazuchika Okada and Mercedes Moné range, based on what were hinted about regarding those deals, which are lower numbers than have been reported elsewhere. This deal is not at the numbers...
Punctuation would be his friend.
This deal is not at the numbers of what was reported for either of those two deals. The deal and the offer to Daniel Garcia were told to us by someone on the WWE side for Garcia, and more than one on Strickland, as being bad for the sport, because they are so far over what WWE would perceive the market value being for both, with the idea he's spending more than he needs to and raising salaries. Let's stop there. And Dave does note here correctly, the reality is WWE can afford anything. What are your thoughts on Swerve's new contract, the purported price range, I guess his value to AEW and how much they do need, whatever they need, and also, is it bad for the business? It's different than, are they sitting there laughing at how much he's going to offer them? That's an argument. He's hurting the business because he's raising the salaries of everyone.
Well, first things first, bravo to Swerve for getting the money, because you can't feel any empathy or sympathy or any kind of these for Tony at this point when he's just throwing out these millions of dollars ludicrously. And Swerve is not, I mean, let's face it, Mercedes is embarrassing that she's being paid millions of dollars for whatever she's doing in public on this program. And Okodi, to me, is the same thing. It's embarrassing. It's this broken down, bland, boring fuck is getting millions of dollars when there are guys in that company that are working their asses off at least. They don't get any help from the office. They don't get any help from booking, but at least their talent and they're working. Boom. Swerve's not embarrassing. He's working hard. He's trying to do shit. They just have no direction and there's no cohesive creative. So bless him for getting the money. Having said that, yes, there's a difference between, okay, let's make an offer for so-and-so and see if Tony will top it just as sport, and Tony not even topping but just blowing the doors off any other offer, because then it does get ridiculous for the pay structure of the business in general, not saying that the WWE pays the guys the percentage of their income that, or percentage of the gross, I should say, that they should get, that other sports athletes get. That's a different story. But to just randomly pay millions of dollars for talent that is nowhere near worth that, it does, then you've got guys choosing, am I going to sign with this lunatic asylum for 5 years and get all this money and retire and never work again? Who gives a shit whether I'm any good or not, whether I do good or whether anything happens, I'll be fine. Or is a 25-year-old that thinks I can make big money in this business for 15 years with the WWE if I do it right. that's going to be about the only reason not to just go take this sucker's money.
Looking at it from the AEW perspective, not justifying any of the contracts of anyone. Swerve, would you agree that Swerve is more valuable than Mercedes, Mone, and Okada?
Oh, good God, yes. And see, both of these things can be true. He is better, more valuable, has more upside, is younger than, or at least looks younger than O'Cody, and is not anything like Mercedes. But does that mean that if Tony paid him $50 million, would that be worth it just because he's the best of the bunch? No. And by any metric that you can examine, Swerve Strickland has not added that much revenue to the company, and I'm not sure that anybody else would pass that scrutiny on the roster either. Tony at this point, anybody that comes up for renewal, he's going to give them more money to stay just because he'll be embarrassed if he loses them. And I think a lot of them know that.
And for him, we always talk about how it's a drop in the bucket, specifically when it comes to a big raise or a contract like that. Giving someone a $500,000 or $750,000 raise, that's not much to him. It's different than a real company. And that's, despite whatever you think of AEW, it's just different than a real company. He has unlimited capital. He could do whatever the hell he wants. And like you just said, he's got to lock guys up. Now, Swerve, you could understand. And MJF, you could understand.
What about Ricochet? How much money did Ricochet just get?
Yeah. For how many years?
And
5 years?
For how many years? And how many weeks is it going to be before Ricochet is one of the boys like everybody else that comes in there and doesn't make a difference in the ratings or the Zabada? And the match quality, for those who like that kind of thing, I'm sure will be off the charts, and it'll be the same number of people that's watching those matches as it is right now. And even if they get a star that draws money, they don't draw money in AEW because they're nullified pretty quickly. So millions of dollars to just make sure that every time that one of his existing talent contracts comes up, those people are motivated to ask for more money. The fuck?
And again, you can understand Swerve. What kind of raise did Daniel Garcia get to keep him from WWE?
But again, to keep him from going to NXT, you think Danny Garcia is going to walk onto the main roster? Did Tony need to pay him that at all? Did he need to pay him that much? How much is it? Point being, just with what has been reported, if you made a list of who in wrestling should be amongst the highest earners in the business, not just one company, I don't think Mercedes or Swerve or most of these guys would be there to begin with in terms of what they're producing in the place that they currently work.
Well, that was the AEW contract talk, and perhaps, how do I do a good transition here? Perhaps someone wants to sell used gear online.
Perhaps some of these people need something to fall back on.
Yes.
Just in case, because in 5 years, what happens if Daddy Shad yanks a knot in Tony's tail and Tony the Tiger becomes Tony the Timid in 3 years? Are they going to get all paid off? They're going to have AEW declare bankruptcy? You don't know what's going to go on because you're not in charge, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, you got to be in charge of your business. You got to keep on top of your business. And nobody keeps on top of your business better than Shopify, the home of the #1 checkout on the planet, the shop pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, whatever the hell that means. And most importantly, Brian, way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales are going... Because, yeah, I've seen it on the news, these abandoned shopping carts in various places around the country. On a windy day especially, they'll blow right through the parking lot and into the side of your car. It's causing all kinds of damage. You do not want people abandoning these carts. And Shopify will not let them. Whenever they get on your shopping cart there, Shopify instantly performs an internet handcuffing procedure. Unless they buy something, their computer is frozen, they can't get out of it. That is how they have managed to raise sales 48% in the first quarter. Did you hear about this?
I don't know how much any of this is true, and I haven't seen any news reports about shopping carts flying through the parking lot. I don't know where you're seeing that either.
Well, yes, but now you got to admit that it's a good idea that they've got your computer rigged to where if these people try to get out of your cart without buying something, well, they'll just freeze their computer up. And a big sign will come up on the screen. Shopify says you have to buy something or we won't let you go. And that gets your profits up in a heartbeat, just like that. So if you're into growing your business, folks, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. See how they do that there? Scrolling and strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. They're scrolling and a-strolling, strolling and a-scrolling. Stroll, stroll, like
Okay,
that Billy Squire song. I'm spitballing here.
That's a Billy Squire song, Stroll?
Well, of the stroke.
That's not Stroll.
The stroll. Now, everybody, have you heard? If you're in business, then a stroll's the word. You want to sell where your customers are strolling, or if they're scrolling, you get your Shopify going, and your bankroll will be rolling. I'm working on this.
Yeah. This is the Rock Me Tonight. This is more like Rock Me Tonight part of his career.
Well, but you got to do the fancy dance. And again, folks, businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Did I do that before? They like it when I do that. So you can upgrade your business and get the features of the folks at Shopify. And all you got to do is go to shopify.com/Cornette. That's a new one now. Just for the drive-thru here. Shopify.com/Cornette. All lowercase. And you get a $1 a month trial period. $1. A measly, you can go roll a bum in a street and take his tin can and get $1.
You shouldn't do that. Let's not even talk about that. Leave the bum alone.
Well,
let's not call him a bum. Let's give him some dignity, goddammit.
No, bums aren't people.
What?
Bums aren't people. They're just out there getting in the way. We got to get them out of the way so we can do big business with Shopify.
We need to get them in the way of the right track and get them going, and maybe they'll start a Shopify store and they can pick their life back up and shave.
Time to the railroad track then, and watch the fucking body parts just fly when the train comes by.
No,
get them on the right track or the left track.
No, how about just no. And let's tell everyone that I don't even know how to recover this one, folks. Let's tell everyone.
Shopify is where you're going to make some money. See, that's why I do this. When I do that, it means money.
And you're not a bum and you will live, folks. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not a bum. And you people out there aren't bums. If you were bums, you wouldn't be listening to the podcast because you wouldn't have enough money to have something to listen to it on. It's only people that have no money and possessions that are worthless to society.
Well, don't say that. That's not true. It's a matter of what you are inside, who you are, your character.
Well, then find a bum and gut him and turn him inside out and see what he looks like.
Leave the bums alone with Shopify.
Leave the bums alone. Folks, right now, go to shopify.com/Cornette. That's all lowercase to upgrade your selling. Boy, a lot of people in the wrestling business need to do that too. Integrate Shopify Cha-Ching SFX. Oh, that was a stage direction. I love lamp. Shopify.com/Cornette. $1 a month. How can you beat it? It's just impossible.
All right. Well, it's impossible to end the show on that note. So we're going to get a few questions in here, Jim, or a few topics at least that people have been sending in. I have several different articles here. I have one This is from earlier in the weekend. I think it's apropos to talk about it because it's a follow-up on something from several years back.
Uh-oh. Long-term storytelling.
I have an article from the Wrestling Observer newsletter website. The headline, Tessa Blanchard details past mental health struggles. Chelsea Green responds. Here's what it says.
What is Chelsea Green knocking her about her mental health struggles, or what's going on there?
I believe in the past, when we talked about the previous issues, not the purported toilet video, but the actual issues that caused Tessa Blanchard to be shunned from mainstream women's wrestling in the States, it was a bunch of women coming out, and it's been a few years. We may recognize the names now. I got to go back and see. We'll find out in a moment. Saying that she said racist things, or she did this, or she did that. So according to this previously, one of the people was Chelsea Green. You've consistently put down, bullied, and belittled countless female co-workers, including me. Is that support? Because remember, it started where she put out some kind of quote that you should also, all the women should support each other.
Women's wrestling, yes.
And then everyone said, you're an asshole, you're the least supportive person we've ever met.
And so she was racist to Chelsea just because poor Chelsea is Canadian?
Well, I don't remember if that's how it was. Allison Kay, another wrestler. Remember when you spat in a black woman's face and called her the N-word in Japan? Was that you supporting women? The audacity of this tweet. Audacity all in caps. I remember that one now. Isla Dawn. She's one of the WWE Tag Team Champions, right?
Apparently.
As someone who experienced your bullying firsthand, received regular verbal abuse, was spat on, had rumors spread about me, dealt with multiple attempts by you to blacklist me from other companies, plus more.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry to laugh at that, but just plus more got me.
Plus more. Now with tomato.
I just pray you now follow your own advice. Blanchard, who now works a full-time schedule with CMLL in Mexico, says she would not change anything about her career as it made her the wrestler and person she is today. Here's a few quotes. I wouldn't change anything about the peaks, the valleys, the way my career has been. I wouldn't change anything because I'm very proud of the woman that I am now and the wrestler that I am today and where my career is.
Don't you think she would say, but I really wish I could wrestle in the United States instead of being stuck in Mexico? Or
if anything would have been different, I might be in a different place. I might be a different person.
Like the United States.
My ego might be through the roof. Who knows? Blanchard said what happened to her in early 2020 led to struggles with her mental health. The quote, when everything happened to me, it was even a tough topic to even talk about. I remember I was living in Tijuana at the time, and I remember some days I would wake up, I didn't even have the strength to live that day. So I would just go back to bed, and I would be in my bed all day long. There were days where I was tired about life just because my identity was wrestling. I didn't know who I was without it, and in a matter of less than 24 hours, it was like from here to nothing. From contract offers from the biggest companies, more money than I'd ever seen in my life, to nothing. This whole storyline we had built for 8 or 9 months to me begging the TNA office that day, like, I don't want to win it, I don't want to do this. And after I didn't go home, I went on a 20...
you're losing me around the far turn there.
Well, she's lost me a little bit about that, but I guess she's talking about... Let's stop right there and get your thoughts on what she's saying here, apparently, about her mental health struggles dealing with...
Well, I was waiting because still nobody has said... She hasn't either said, I didn't do this, it's all a bunch of bullshit what these girls say, or I apologize for doing this. Now, saying she wouldn't change anything indicates that she doesn't believe she's done anything wrong, but she's not saying that out clearly. She's not saying that clearly, but at the same time, she's not saying she didn't do it. What is she saying here?
Well, she's not really saying, I think she's saying that she personally felt, after everything fell apart quickly in 24 hours, that she felt very, she was obviously very upset about
yes.
that.
Well, if somebody is wrongly convicted of crime and goes to prison, they feel rotten about it too. But also, if somebody gets caught robbing a bank and goes to prison, they feel rotten about it too. So I want more clarity on, is she defending herself or just saying, well, I did it then, but I've changed. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, Fightful had tweeted out an article. Tessa Blanchard details personal struggles after TNA title win and TNA release. And Chelsea Green responded to that. I don't wish self-harm or thoughts of suicide on anyone, and I hope she has found peace. However, a simple I am sorry goes a long way. We haven't heard that yet. Accountability matters. And a redemption tour of interviews won't erase the actions of an egotistical bully.
Well.
So again, we don't know what happened, but several women had these things. And like you just said, she didn't really say much about either I'm sorry or this is all bullshit. And Chelsea Green came right out and said, you didn't even say I'm sorry.
It's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to know. After all that we've been through, I'm stuck in Tijuana.
Oh, come on. Any closing thoughts on the plight of Tessa Blanchard?
I met her one time in Charlotte at one of the fan fests and reunions. Very pretty, attractive girl, very nice to me. I've seen her wrestle on video several times a few years back, and I thought she was probably at least one of, if not the best in-ring female wrestler at the time in the business. That was before Rhea Ripley, but I wasn't comparing anyone to Rhea at that point. But, but something has to be wrong as to why you wouldn't use a talent like that unless everybody else was carrying pitchforks and torches for her.
Well, let's go to one last story here today, Jim. This one broke yesterday, I believe. I have an article here on Variety. Vince McMahon docu-series set next Netflix premiere date, or sets Netflix premiere date, excuse me.
Sticks, Nicks, Hicks, Picks.
The series, titled Mr. McMahon, will debut on September 25th and will consist of 6 one-hour episodes.
Oh, boy, howdy, that's a birthday present for me, baby. September 17th is my birthday, but September 25th is going to be a red letter day. Because remember that Vince McMahon special that we wanted to be something, and it was just caca?
On Vice, yeah.
That Vice did. It wasn't the Dark Side crew. It was Vice just going into business for themselves, apparently.
Brian Solomon was good on that, talking about like the early stuff, and then they just, went off in a whole nother direction.
Yeah, straight down. And we didn't, they were talking about a movie, but the script for that was so laughable. They didn't make that, thankfully. But this is actually a documentary series. We get 6 hours of it. And they're not beholden to Vince's whims on Netflix is going to be carrying WWE programming, but they don't have to inflate Vince anymore. Now, if this was a hit piece on Nick Khan or Ari Emanuel or something, there might be a problem. But now, what kind of trouble are they going to get in if they fucking tell a little bit more of the truth? It should be fascinating, especially with the interviews that I understand they've done, the length of the interviews and the number of interviews with all kinds of people in and around Vince's periphery for a long time.
The thing that worries me is Bill Simmons. He's done some great stuff, 30 for 30 on ESPN. There are some amazing episodes I love. But he has proven with his wrestling work, specifically the Andre the Giant documentary, he has an in-house wrestling historian, David Shoemaker, I believe is his name, who doesn't know.
I think he's been on a couple of the A&Es, hasn't he?
Well, he's on any of Bill Simmons' ones because Bill Simmons is his employer, I believe. But he's an historian who makes things up. He said that Andre the Giant was a touring heel attraction throughout the territories in an Andre the Giant documentary. That is categorically false in every sense of the word. So that's the only thing that worries me is I'm sure they got great interview footage, but you can't have people like that who will just make shit up and don't have any understanding of the history of wrestling. You can't have that in this kind of thing. This should be, if done right, this should be a major achievement, and there's a story to tell. You got to make sure you don't have people like that.
They got a song they're going to sing, and they're going to sing it.
What do you expect coming out of this? Again, WWE, this is coming out September. WWE's Netflix deal right around the corner. It's interesting. This is a way to kind of wash your hands of Vince right before the deal.
They'll be into November before the series is up, and then they debut in January. But I'm hoping, again, we get a lot more clarity on his early life and the people and his confusing family dynamics, and some more element of the early stuff to explain how he was formed and scarred so mentally that he has the picadillos that he does, in business and life, and hating the Southern way of life and everything because he was stuck in a trailer park in North Carolina and all that other stuff. Let's see if they can tell us who and why, as well as the good stuff.
If Vince won't appear, don't you think you should send Bruce in his stead?
I don't know if Bruce wants to take a swing at this one. You can commentate on Vince's reasonings for doing things with specific talent, but when you try to get into psychoanalyzing Vince, if you want him to stay on your side, you don't want to take a swing at that at all. You want to drop out of the batting order on that one, I bet you.
Well, we will see what happens. Mr. McMahon, only on Netflix, September 25th, a Netflix documentary series.
Now I got to figure out how to watch the Netflix.
Oh, come on. You could do that.
Stacy's got me on the Tubi TV. Tubi, Tubi TV. They have classic Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, all kinds of old TV shows. Not a lot of new stuff to clutter things up. I like that.
All right, well, we will figure out how to get you there. Perhaps over the years of some of the people who had a problem with Vince McMahon, if they had the right lawyer, perhaps they would have been able to get something done.
Well, that's right, because if they had a man who would sit a son of a bitch down at a table and question him into tears, then they would have been able to just do all kinds of things. And here's that man that I'm talking about right now. Play the music.
Call Stephen P. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Those are the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you have some weasel in your life that has wronged you or stolen from you, lied to you, cheated you, misrepresented you, harmed you, damaged you, or otherwise inconvenienced you in a legal fashion through negligence, incompetence, or just outright greed, then the man to call is Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE. If you'd like to see him sit down and systematically rock a man's world and change his life by revealing all the different ways that individual is screwed up and how he's going to be brought to heel by the American jurisprudence system, Stephen P. New, he's a son of a coal miner. He's a hillbilly going to Beverly Hills. He can come see you, sit down, eat your food, drink your wine, possibly have relations with your women, and come to an agreement on a way that he can help you in open court. Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE.
That's right. Get even with Stephen, newlawoffice.com. And we know it's a human being, so with that, the drive-thru is closed.
Yesterday!
I was like, where's he going at first when he just talked about a giraffe's diarrhea? I was like, I've heard that before. Who have I heard say that before? Of course, you can hear more on the Jim Cornette Experience in a few days, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Lots of pay-per-views coming up, lots of reviews, and this McMahon show should be batshit. So stay tuned. And of course, next week right here on the drive-thru, Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. What's going on, Jim?
Well, this week on The Experience, or next week, or however you categorize these things, I'm going to give the details on the big Christmas season sale that begins Saturday, October 5th at noon Eastern, including the details on the final variant, the final Jim Cornette action figure, and so much more. So check out The Experience.
Wherever you find your favorite podcast, and of course, Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. You can follow Jim on Twitter at @JimCornette. Follow me on Twitter at GreatBrianLast. Don't forget the wrestling news. Wherever you find your favorite podcast, get your wrestling news for free every day. The Daily Wrestling Morning Newscast. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership. What are we forgetting? Oh, the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe. The official clips of the show, that's what I'm trying to say, the clips, full episodes, omnibus collections, all with Travis Heckel artwork, and of course some of the other great guest artwork. And we have more omnibuses about to hit you. Stay tuned for that. Of course, Patreon.com.
And boy, when you get hit by an omnibus, you know you've been hit.
Patreon.com/Cornette, $5 a month. Get access to the archive going back to 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. But until The Experience, and of course next week right here on the Drive-Thru for Jim Cornette, I'm the Great Brian Last. Tally-ho!